Chapter 241, Ultimate Morosa. With a single thought, Luo Feng split his massive world life form into two. The primary clone contained the life lotus within its inner world and held 56 times the perfect divine body energy reserve. No treasures. Let's see my strongest power, Luo Feng decided. Boom! The primary clone's power instantly shifted to operate entirely according to the secret art. The limitless energy naturally took on a blood-red hue, and in an eye blink, a vast river of blood flowed into being, filling the entire Star Tower space. In principle, it was boundless. Whoever was trapped in that red river would never find its end. Only powers that transcended the river could break free. Is this the 8-branch fusion secret art, River of Life? From within the endless blood river, a figure of Luo Feng condensed. In truth, that figure was only a wisp of power. The river itself was the primary clone. Rumble. In Luo Feng's perception, the blood-colored river functioned as a self-contained world. The operating rules inside it were a super-condensed version of the blood-red scale. From this point on, his secret art contained at least a trace of the blood-red scale's essence. Still, its power was terrifying. Deep within the Life-Blood River, a gigantic life lotus sat at the center. When the primary clone transformed into the River of Life, the Life Lotus became its core and amplified its might enormously. With the Life Lotus boosting it, the River of Life erupts, Luo Feng willed it on. The blood river surged. Heaven and earth seemed to invert as the endless current swept forth, submerging and annihilating everything in its path. Luo Feng's brow tightened. Supreme rule. Unleashing the River of Life's full force, he felt the faint restraints of the supreme rule. The River of Life's power is already close to the upper limit the supreme rule sets, he realized. If it increased another 30 or 40%, it would hit that ceiling. He was still only at the God King second realm and had used no external treasures, yet his consciousness, commanding a world life form with 56 times the perfect divine body energy and using the 8-branch art River of Life, further augmented by the rare Life Lotus, had reached near the origin continent's power cap. Luo Feng recognized then that the Life Lotus alone was almost equivalent in value to a beyond God King level treasure. Without it, perhaps only a 9-branch secret art could brush the limit. The Creation and Destruction 6-branch secret art was an ultimate realm move comparable to a common Great Tao. The 7-branch secret art marked a qualitative leap. Luo Feng had already used it to suppress Tianmu country's world beast clone. The 8-branch art was an even greater escalation. The terror of the fusion path was beginning to show. This is without using the Star Tower, Luo Feng thought. Let's try the Star Tower's power. He poured his will into the deeper secret patterns of the Star Tower, activating the countless engravings he'd comprehended. The secret arts he'd learned, including the new 8-branch River of Life, all stemmed from Star Tower patterns. They could be performed from nothing, but by actually using the Star Tower, he could awaken all the patterns at once. The range of activated moves far exceeded a single 8-branch technique. Rumble. A faint blood-red scale illusion shimmered inside the vast river. The River of Life's might surged dramatically, instantly touching the Supreme Rule's upper limit on the origin continent. It wasn't only that power reached the cap. Under the river formed through the Star Tower, each strand of the current was like its own world, limitless in weight, bearing suppression, imprisonment, pulverization, penetration, piercing, strangulation. All the features of the 6, 7, and 8-branch secret arts Luo Feng had learned were now merged into one fluid whole. The Supreme Rule limits the Star Tower's power, Luo Feng observed as his figure rose above the blood flow. When power reaches the upper limit, the battle becomes a contest of profundity. The same level of power can differ hugely depending on depth. Without the Star Tower, the difference seemed like 30 to 40%. With the Star Tower activated, each thread of the river gained a qualitative change, 10 times stronger in feel. I can sense that even my world life form with only 10 times the energy reserve would be eroded and annihilated in a single breath before this Star Tower-formed River of Life, he thought. How long, then, would emperors and monarchs last, even with super-powerful treasures? No wonder the two ancestors had been able to intimidate the Tianmu country's realm beast and suppress the Lord of Myriad Worlds. Even reaching the Supreme Rule's upper limit made an extraordinary realm terrifying. When Ancestor Yanfeng acted, he could destroy all of God King Zongfu's clones and his resurrection vessels, except that Zongfu had special luck and special clones that eluded Yanfeng's tracking. After grasping the 8-branch secret art, Luo Feng turned his attention toward comprehending Hunyuan bloodline corpse materials and using them to further probe the Star Tower's patterns. Then, one day while cultivating, Luo Feng opened his eyes. Morosa has finally broken through. Morosa's aura, which had been growing slowly, had stabilized at a new height. The intensity of his presence now matched that of an emperor or monarch. He was still a newly advanced world beast and would need to absorb natural energy to push his divine body to its ultimate limit, but already his body was terrifying. Whoosh! Luo Feng arrived in Morosa's exclusive Star Tower space. Master! Morosa's aura was heavy and destructive. A limitless wrecking presence spread outward from him as if set to annihilate everything. Have you mastered the full great path of destruction? Luo Feng asked, watching the naturally radiating destructive power. This aura far exceeded that of God King Zongfu, Diju Feng, and the others. A peak world beast without treasures could indeed outmatch many emperors. I, Morosa, have finally broken through. Morosa was elated. I've become a peak world beast, and as I broke through, I instinctively comprehended a great path of destruction form. Now I only need to absorb energy, and within about an epoch, my great path of destruction will reach its peak. Great path of destruction form? Luo Feng was intrigued. It contains the 3 phases of the great path of destruction, Morosa explained eagerly. Its vitality isn't as robust as some great Taos like the great Tao of life, but its destructive power is extreme. I also naturally comprehended 36 Ultimate Realm secret arts. They can be combined. Without any treasures, I'm confident I can battle emperors and monarchs. They just lean on super powerful treasures, Morosa said with disdain. In realm and raw power, they're far inferior to me. You're powerful now, are you? Luo Feng smiled. Then show me. Morosa smiled awkwardly. Master, I might hurt you. This is only one of my clones, Luo Feng said. Even if you destroy it, it doesn't matter. He nodded. The most powerful being Luo Feng had encountered so far was the purple-robed woman, but she'd held back to conceal her identity. Morosa's great path of destruction was new and hadn't yet peaked. Luo Feng was curious to spar with an ultimate realm beast. Master, be careful, Morosa warned. He extended a finger and lightly tapped. That single touch channeled the complete great path of destruction under the supreme rule. A whisper of force activated the full Tao. Instantly, myriad destructive effects descended and enveloped Luo Feng's clone. Morosa confined the strike's scope to the master's clone alone. Complete great path of destruction? Luo Feng felt the move's depth. He had reached God King's second realm in his own understanding of the great path of destruction, so he could sense the profundity. Morosa's strike was indeed deep. A tiny trace of force unlocked immense destructive power. Luo Feng's clone, still formidable with dozens of times the perfect divine body energy, couldn't dodge and took the blow. An ordinary God King second realm would have been annihilated by a single finger. Luo Feng only suffered superficial injuries, which healed instantly. Morosa, that's not enough, Luo Feng said, smiling. Morosa's expression darkened. He felt uneasy. His initial strike had used the full Tao, yet Master had recovered immediately. Now I'll use truly powerful moves. Be ready, Morosa said. Begin, Luo Feng replied. In a flash, Morosa split into 18 clones that scattered through the space. Each unleashed a different Ultimate Realm secret art. The 18 techniques erupted together. Their effects were not merely additive, but perfectly coordinated, producing a qualitative leap in profundity. Boom! The converging might condensed into a single strike that slammed into Luo Feng's body. Holes riddled him. Great portions of his clone vanished in an instant. More than half the clone's form disappeared. Yet terrifying vitality restored from nothingness, and Luo Feng's body healed completely in the blink of an eye, though his aura was noticeably reduced. Whoosh! Whoosh! Morosa's aura also slightly dimmed. He looked at Luo Feng in surprise. Master, your clone didn't seem to take much damage. I lost 30%, 3 of my perfect divine body energy reserves, Luo Feng said. Morosa's unleashed power was already stronger than the purple-robed woman's, who in the Dream Domain duel had been restrained by circumstances. Let's spar again after my great path of destruction reaches its peak, Morosa said, still unconvinced. Can your moves become more refined? Luo Feng asked. It's unlikely, Morosa admitted. The great path of destruction form and the 36 ultimate realm secret arts the supreme rule granted me are the best fit for a world beast. Even if I tried to refine them myself, there probably wouldn't be much improvement. The supreme rule's naturally bestowed secret arts were tailored to world beasts and already optimal for them. If your moves can't deepen, there's no further need to compare now, Luo Feng said. Losing 3 perfect divine body energy reserves at once had stung. He should have sent a stronger clone to hedge the loss. But the exchange taught him a lesson. In future encounters with emperors and monarchs wielding complete sets of super-powerful treasures, it would be safer to confront them using his very strongest clone. Chapter 242, The Void Gods of the Human Race Primordial Universe Region, Luo Feng's Small Universe. Luo Feng's small universe, as vast as the primordial universe itself, had already become a sacred territory for the human race. Under a broad, ancient tree, he waited alone. It's time to bring the human race's powerhouses to the origin continent, he thought. With the Star Tower in his possession, he felt confident even if the ancestors of the 2 great ancient kingdoms appeared in person. Besides, Morosa had already reached the ultimate realm and mastered the Great Tao. Schemes would be less effective. Still, Luo Feng knew his own weaknesses in matters of karma and heavenly secrets. It was easy for him to be trapped by intricate plots. He could act boldly alone, but sending other human powerhouses through the reincarnation passage required extreme caution. If one of them, Primordial Chaos City Lord or another, were to fall, he would never forgive himself. 6 figures appeared together and drew near. Luo Feng, Galaxy. They all turned to him. Primordial Chaos City Lord's face shone with joy. You said the human powerhouses could cross the reincarnation. I've summoned these 5 old friends. The 6 of us are confident we can break through to a higher realm. Thank you, teacher. Luo Feng smiled. Before him stood Primordial Chaos City Lord, Penggong True God, Darkness True God, Desolate Mirror True God, Ice Peak True God, and Dragon Walk True God, all early human powerhouses. With a little more resource, and with help from Luo Feng and Origin Ancestor, each believed they could reach the Void True God level. Darkness, his aura cold and gloomy, added, There are over 100 True Gods among humans now. With inheritances available, we shouldn't be the only ones confident of breaking through. Crossing the reincarnation to an unfamiliar world is risky. There's no need to send everyone at once, Primordial Chaos City Lord advised. Teacher is right. Luo Feng agreed. I actually think even you 6 should split into 2 groups. After the first group adapts, the second can follow. Luo Feng, you decide, they said without hesitation. They knew little of the world beyond the passage and trusted Luo Feng completely after all the time together. For the first group, Teacher, Junior Marshal Uncle Darkness, and Peng Gong will go first. After some time, the second group will set out, Luo Feng arranged. Primordial Chaos City Lord, Penggong, and Darkness were currently the strongest in the human race, second only to Luo Feng and Origin Ancestor. The 6 accepted the plan. Luo Feng proposed that the first 3 break through first, and then travel together on the same flying secret treasure to pass through the reincarnation and land in the same region. The 3 quickly began their breakthroughs. Their small universes expanded under their efforts. Other races in the primordial universe region watched with envy, but no one could contest human dominance. After all, Luo Feng's small universe was as large as the primordial universe itself. Once the 3 succeeded, they boarded the same flying boat's secret treasure and quietly crossed the reincarnation. Origin Continent, Huyang City. Luo Feng had already been waiting inside Huyang City. Suddenly, he sensed 3 lives with deep karmic ties to him arriving on the Origin Continent. Using his karmic observation, he locked onto their positions. Their lower realms left them undefended and easy to find. With a thought, a black light flashed and Luo Feng crossed more than half the Origin Continent to a border wilderness in Thunder Ancient Country. Concealed and smiling, he watched Primordial Chaos City Lord Peng Gong and Darkness as they arrived. He didn't reveal himself immediately. "Let teacher and the others experience the origin continent properly," he murmured. "Is this the world beyond the reincarnation?" Primordial Chaos City Lord and the others excitedly sensed their surroundings. "This place is powerful. The space is stable. The pressure intense. True gods probably can't fly without external aid," Peng Gong said, awe in his voice. "The operation of the heavenly laws is far clearer than in our homeland. Cultivation here will be easier," Primordial Chaos City Lord said, hopeful. Darkness, comparing with his avatar back home, observed, "Time flows differently. 1 unit of time here passes while 10,081 units pass in our homeland." Peng Gong crushed a stone in his hand and exhaled. "Everything in this world is extraordinary. Even ordinary stones here, if taken back home, could be forged into weapons or secret treasures." They explored, drinking in the astonishing differences. After a while, Luo Feng revealed himself. "Luo Feng," the three cried. "You found this boundless world so fast?" Peng Gong asked in surprise. "This continent is called the Origin Continent," Luo Feng said with a smile. He sent 3 streams of informational light to them. "That's detailed intelligence about the Origin Continent. I'll take you to Huyang City. Origin Ancestor is waiting there." Above Huyang City, the 3 appeared and were stunned by the immense metropolis before them. Huyang City was the Dao River sect's headquarters and now governed 155 Chaos states. Its walls and area had long been expanded. The city was filled with god kings like Luo Feng and Morosa, countless Chaos Realm experts, and vast numbers of core disciples, a true assembly of might. "Luo Feng has established the Dao River sect on the Origin Continent," Origin Ancestor said as he materialized beside them. "Teacher," Primordial Chaos City Lord and Darkness saluted respectfully. Peng Gong followed suit with deep admiration. Origin Ancestor smiled and explained, "This Huyang City is the Dao River sect's headquarters. The number of true gods in the city is astronomical, tens of trillions in total. Void true gods number over 1 billion, eternal true gods exceed 10,000. There are several Chaos Realm experts and, of course, god kings like Luo Feng. Even compared across the Origin Continent, Huyang City qualifies as a first-rate metropolis," Origin Ancestor added. The 3 were dumbfounded. They had only just reached Void True God and were proud of it. The scale here was dizzying. "Creatures born on the Origin Continent normally attain True God status more easily," Luo Feng explained. "So true gods are countless here. It's many times harder to be true god in our Primordial Universe region." Luo Feng and Origin Ancestor escorted Primordial Chaos City Lord, Peng Gong, and Darkness through Huyang City, letting them taste its prosperity and the plethora of cultivation schools. The 3 were overwhelmed. Origin Ancestor declared, "The disciples of the Dao River sect include ordinary disciples, core disciples, Luo Feng's registered disciples, and Luo Feng's direct disciples. When you join, you'll be nominally my disciples." Primordial Chaos City Lord and Darkness were already his disciples. Peng Gong happily accepted. Luo Feng watched quietly. He couldn't take these senior peers as his own direct disciples. Origin Ancestor's standing in the sect was perfect for receiving them, and his direct disciples enjoyed higher status than ordinary core disciples. "Luo Feng and I have arranged for top-tier cultivation resources for you," Origin Ancestor continued. "Even better than those given to Luo Feng's direct disciples. Any human who crosses to the Origin Continent receives premier resources." Luo Feng nodded. As human powerhouses grew, the Dao River sect would gradually assign them responsibility within the sect. "But the Origin Continent is full of dangers," Origin Ancestor warned. "I have one rule. Until you become eternal true gods, you are forbidden from leaving Huyang City." "Understood," they agreed firmly. Huyang City's marvels and the knowledge that a single city hosted over 1 billion void true gods and more than 10,000 eternal true gods convinced them to obey. Near Origin Ancestor's cave mansion, 3 small cave mansions were specially prepared. "You will live here. I'll be fully responsible for your cultivation," he told Primordial Chaos City Lord, Peng Gong, and Darkness. "Thank you, teacher," they replied. Origin Ancestor left them to rest. Cultivation arrangements would begin the next day. Gathered in primordial Chaos City Lord's cave mansion, they pored over the huge amount of information Luo Feng had provided. It was overwhelming. The nations of the origin continent, its overt and covert forces, data on every Chaos Realm expert and God King, even summaries of emperors and monarchs. Huyang City isn't even the most prosperous in the origin continent. Some cities under the two great ancient kingdoms are far greater, they read. God Kings have 3 stages: God King First Realm, Second Realm, and Ultimate Realm. The two great ancient kingdoms alone have 13 emperors, 9 monarchs, and 2 ancestors. Luo Feng is terrifying. He's already at the peak of God King's Second Realm, only slightly below emperors and monarchs. He hasn't been on the origin continent long, yet he's reached this height. Against the two great ancient kingdoms, the 3 first-rate forces, and 5 rogue cultivators comparable to emperors, Luo Feng still stands out. After studying the reports, the 3 felt reassured of their own strength. They might be far from matching the absolute powerhouses, but in the continent's periphery, they could still be a dominant force. Chapter 243, Death of the Snow Realm Ancestor. Primordial Chaos City Lord, Darkness, Wangjian, Ice Peak, and Long Xing. These 6 had split into 2 groups, passed through Reincarnation, and arrived on the origin continent. All of them had become disciples under the origin ancestor of the Dao River sect. Luo Feng, who occasionally preached in his hometown and guided human powerhouses, had a good sense of the cultivation distribution among humans. Even with guidance from him and the origin ancestor, only about 10 humans might ever reach the Void True God level. The 6 who had come this time were effectively the strongest, aside from Luo Feng and the origin ancestor. Luo Feng glanced at Morosa beside him. Morosa's true body was still absorbing energy in the Star Tower. Only a clone stood near Luo Feng. Master, Morosa bowed respectfully. Sparring with his master had shown him how unfathomable Luo Feng's depths were. Even at the ultimate realm, it had been hard to gauge the master's true strength. Reaching the ultimate realm seemed to be Morosa's limit. The possibility of breaking past it felt almost nil. Master's talent is exceptional, Morosa thought. After 500 epochs on the origin continent, he's already stronger than me, an ultimate realm world beast. In time, he will surpass me far. Maybe Master can help me break through my own limit. The great path of destruction that defined his body meant that if the origin continent returned to annihilation, he would return with it. He wanted to live. He had no way to escape this fate except to rely on his master. Always keep a clone in Huyang City to conceal heavenly secrets and blur karma, Luo Feng said. I need to make sure the human powerhouses can grow without being targeted by some old fellows. Don't worry, Master. I control the complete Great Path. With me concealing heavenly secrets and blurring karma, no one on the origin continent can spy on them, Morosa replied confidently. Luo Feng nodded. The 3 first-rate powers, Tianmu Country, Myriad Worlds Country, and East Extremity Domain, would act in secret, but because they moved covertly, no rumors would spread to the wider world. With heavenly secrets concealed and karma blurred, unless someone saw things firsthand, who could prove those powers were responsible? Even the 2 great ancient kingdoms could only suspect. Now, with you and me working together, we can be considered a first-rate power, Luo Feng said with a smile. Myriad Worlds Country and Tianmu Country probably aren't as strong as the 2 of us combined. Don't underestimate them, Luo Feng added. The Lord of Myriad Worlds managed to comprehend a complete Great Path alone. His spiritual will surpasses the Beyond God King level. Perhaps, after long cultivation, he quietly broke the God King limit. An East Extremity Domain has its ancestor. Even the 2 nations' forefathers show him respect. Arrange 3 clones to accompany me on a trip, Luo Feng ordered. You only need to conceal heavenly secrets and blur karma. Leave the rest to me. 3 clones to accompany Master? Morosa asked. What for? When one's strength is sufficient, one must act. Luo Feng smiled faintly. Let's eliminate the top 10 most heinous criminals on the origin continent. Eliminate them all? Morosa was shocked. Master, the top 10 are deep-rooted. Some hold positions tied to the royal families of the 2 great ancient kingdoms. Some are just pawns. They capture billions of living beings only for emperors and monarchs to consume them. The living beings of the origin continent contained fragments of primordial origin essence from the source world. Devouring billions was one path to strengthening a Hunyuan bloodline. Emperors and monarchs, in their noble positions, used pawns for such tasks, and many of those pawns became the so-called top 10 most heinous criminals. Are you going to offend the emperors and monarchs of the two great ancient kingdoms? Morosa asked, panic threading his voice. Even if his great path of destruction body reached its peak, it would be comparable at best to an emperor or monarch with a full set of top-grade secret treasures. I'm not afraid. Why should you be? Luo Feng looked at him. Morosa stared back. Master, if several emperors and monarchs join forces, deploy beyond God-King level secret treasures and formations, do you have the confidence to withstand it? He was a small body. He truly could not endure such a barrage. Don't worry. Luo Feng's calm steadied Morosa, and his eyes lit up. If Luo Feng wasn't afraid, why should he be? Morosa's confidence swelled. Kill, kill, kill. Master wants to kill whoever he wants. Who is behind these top 10 criminals is itself a secret, Luo Feng said. Everyone says the origin continent runs deep. This time we'll measure it, stir things up, and see who jumps out. Among the top 10, 3 are weaker. Snow Realm Ancestor, Heavenly God King, and Dreary Wind Lord. Let's deal with them first, Luo Feng said. From weak to strong, step by step. Snow Realm territory was a realm where snow fell year-round and melted into rivers, feeding countless waterways. All the rivers, all the snowflakes in the sky, together they form the true body of the Snow Realm Ancestor, Luo Feng observed. A black-robed, gold-masked man and an old servant appeared within the frozen land. Snow Realm Ancestor cultivated the life origin great path, pursuing the vastness of life. A large physique mattered, but the essence of the body was even more crucial. Luo Feng had also cultivated the life origin great path to the God King Second Realm and had begun to study aspects of the ultimate realm. He could see the Snow Realm Ancestor's flaws easily. The living beings that have grown generation after generation in the Snow Realm are all resources for his cultivation, Luo Feng said coldly. He did not interfere in every jungle law, and he tolerated many groups as long as they didn't cross his path. But cultivators like the Snow Realm Ancestor and Heavenly Country Lord, who slaughtered billions for their own benefit, aroused Luo Feng's instinctive killing intent. Devouring billions of living beings just to improve one's Hunyuan bloodline meant treating countless sentient lives as food. To Luo Feng, such beings were no longer true cultivators. They were scum. When my strength is enough, such cultivators should not be allowed to live on the origin continent, he muttered. When one's ability is insufficient, one can endure. When it is sufficient, one must act. Annihilate. Logically, anyone who entered the Snow Realm should have been perceived by the Snow Realm Ancestor. The snowflakes everywhere were parts of his true body. Yet with Luo Feng and Morosa present, the Ancestor noticed nothing. Luo Feng's intent rose, and he unleashed his Li Yuan art. Boom! Luo Feng's spiritual will attacked the snowflakes, striking at the immensely vast true body of the Snow Realm Ancestor. The Ancestor, immersed in Hunyuan bloodline cultivation, had everything in the Snow Realm within his perception. With a thought, the snowflakes could devour living beings by the trillions to feed his cultivation, and he regulated his devouring so reproduction could keep pace. He had even planned to expand his territory. Suddenly he perceived only a vast star rushing toward him, crushing him. He had no time to enact defenses before he was pulverized. No, the crushing annihilated him utterly. Even fragments were ground to nothing. Luo Feng showed no mercy. He left no chance for survival. In an instant, the Ancestor's spiritual will was gone. His massive physical form became a corpse in the Snow Realm, a majestic, beast-like husk. Luo Feng waved a hand to gather it, then vanished with Morosa. The countless living beings that had multiplied for generations in that territory entered a new era. The darkest heaven above their heads had vanished. Soon the black-robed, gold-masked man and his old servant arrived in the Heavenly God King's domain, the Heavenly Kingdom, a small state nestled between Thunder Ancient Country and Myriad Worlds Country. The Heavenly God King possessed God King's Second Realm strength, a touch weaker than the Heavenly Country Lord, but still enough to dominate a region. All living beings in his kingdom were his food. I can only devour 1/10 for myself. The rest must be sent to the monarch, a coiling massive body mused in the depths of the palace. If I could devour without restraint, my strength would grow even more. Without warning, the black-robed man and his companion appeared deep in the palace. The heavenly god king's spiritual will was annihilated. He collapsed into a corpse. Luo Feng waved his hand and collected the body. The dreary Wind Lord ruled a vast island that comprised 39 chaos states, an island near the Yanfeng ancient kingdom with superior cultivation conditions, even better than the lands around Huyang City. The living beings supported by the 39 chaos states could rival half the population of Huyang City's 155 chaos state territories. As an ancient god king's second realm cultivator, Dreary Wind Lord was an honored figure in Yanfeng ancient kingdom. The island's people were utterly powerless against him. Luo Feng and Morosa arrived on that island. In a quiet palace chamber, they took the Dreary Wind Lord's corpse as well. The three weaker god kings among the top 10 most heinous criminals, Snow Realm Ancestor, Heavenly God King, and Dreary Wind Lord, were all killed nearly simultaneously. The incident shocked powers across the Origin continent. Chapter 242, The Mantis Stalks the Cicada Snow Realm. Ancestor, Heavenly God King, and Dreary Wind Lord were not considered overwhelmingly powerful, yet their sins ranked among the top 10 on Origin continent, and they had lived freely for a long time. The core reason was their extraordinary self-preservation. Each cultivated paths that made them devilishly hard to kill. Snow Realm Ancestor followed the path of Life Source, Dreary Wind Lord the path of Space Source, and Heavenly God King the path of the Limitless. Their means of survival were maddeningly troublesome, and yet the three of them died at once. The news shook the entire continent. Good riddance. They should have been dealt with long ago. They've been living too freely. Finally, someone powerful annihilated them. Those who hated evil celebrated. But sin-laden god kings grew uneasy. Killing three top sinners at once, would the killer come for them next? What should we do? Reincarnate? There are so many great sinners. Maybe he only targets the top 10. He probably can't find me. Panic and whispered plans spread through the guilty ranks. Everyone also worried about the killer's identity. Who did it? Was it that black-robed, golden-masked expert? Many suspected the same figure behind the earlier deaths, the one who had struck the three Shi country lords and Heavenly Kun country lord before. The two great ancient kingdoms threw everything at the investigation, spells, divinations, time tracing, but turned up nothing. No traces found. No history, no temporal imprint, nothing in time-space, causality, or energy fluctuations. If Luo Feng's previous killings had left visible traces, even clear images, this time there was no footprint at all. The two great ancient kingdoms were baffled. This killer's method is more sophisticated than the black-robed, golden-masked one, they concluded. It must be an ultimate realm being, above God King level. Unease spread through even the strongest powers. Huyang City, City Lord's mansion. Luo Feng sipped wine and gazed at the brilliant stars overhead. Killed three god kings, and yet the stars are still bright, he said wryly. Morosa looked up and replied, those three were weak, barely a ripple among the stars. The real luminaries are the ultimate realm existences, the emperors. Luo Feng smiled. Master, I've always wondered about something, Morosa said. Why don't you strike all the top 10 at once? Send out 10 avatars and annihilate them simultaneously. You killed three weaker ones first. The remaining 7 will become vigilant. Some might even reincarnate. Then it'll be impossible to find them. Luo Feng poured another cup of wine. Those 3 I killed were the weakest among the top 10. Sinners ranked near the bottom. The remaining 7 are extraordinary. 3 are imperial god kings who hide in sacred places, the Thunder Mountain of the Thunder Ancient Country and Yandu of Yanfeng Ancient Kingdom. We'd be discovered the moment we entered. The other 4 are rogue cultivators. Their strengths and sins are monstrous. Morosa nodded. The 4 rogues' sins far outweigh those of Snow Realm Ancestor and the others. In the sin ranking, first is Iron Demon Lord. He once plundered almost all the living from 12 kingdoms. Second is Black Vulture Old Ancestor, responsible for damage across dozens of kingdoms, even many lives in Thunder Ancient Country. Third is Shi Fox God King. Fourth is Guiying God King, Only after them come the three imperial god kings. You think those four rogues have emperors and monarchs backing them? Morosa asked. Luo Feng nodded. It's the only reasonable conclusion. Almost time, Luo Feng said, staring at the sky. Next target, She-Fox God King. She-Fox God King held domain on the border of the Heavenly Extremes ice plains and ruled a vast territory. Countless lives within his lands were devoured, and he frequently invaded neighboring kingdoms. Now that Heavenly God King and the other weak ones were dead, would he be next? A massive blood-red fox lay curled in his palace, its golden eyes showing a hint of worry. A God King Second Realm peak who cultivated the path of void, She-Fox God King had 9 powerful avatars and many lesser ones. His spatial abilities made him unpredictable and terrifying. Master, I have a bad feeling, She-Fox God King sent by remote transmission. Don't worry, a casual voice replied. You have an avatar in my palace. No one can touch you there. She-Fox pushed the unease down. Then he saw a star rolling toward him, and his horror was instant. No matter how many avatars he had, this crushing mental onslaught overwhelmed them. Emperor, save me! The rolling star smashed down. She-Fox had no ultimate realm life form, no perfect Grandao protection, and no world-ending secret treasure to ward it off. Only his avatar in the Emperor's palace, and the Emperor's palace itself slightly weakened incoming attacks on will. Under the crushing force of the star, She-Fox God King's mental consciousness was annihilated. Poof. The palace's dampening effect reduced the blow by 2 or 3/10, but it wasn't enough. Even through that protection, She-Fox's will was swept away. That She-Fox died even under my palace's protection? The Emperor in whose palace She-Fox hid was shocked and furious as he stared at the avatar's lifeless husk. He had barely managed to save the body, and then barely managed to retaliate. Luo Feng frowned. Crushing She-Fox's entire consciousness had been strenuous. He felt how much pressure it required. The experience confirmed to him that his mental will, combined with his Li Yuan art, could sweep away God-King-level mental existences. Even with an Emperor's palace in the way, he could kill, though against stronger protections, his method might fail. My mental will still needs to be stronger, he thought. Whoosh! Luo Feng and Morosa collected the 2 avatar corpses and the treasures in She-Fox God King's lair, then departed. When Heavenly God King and the others fell earlier, most on Origin Continent had been concerned but calm, but She-Fox God King's death sparked panic. He was a true God King Second Realm peak, a void path master whom even emperors would hesitate to face. If he could be killed, then nobody was safe. On a boundless prairie, Luo Feng and Morosa walked side by side. The causality for Guiying God King has completely vanished, Morosa said. He must have been scared into instant reincarnation. He's decisive, Luo Feng agreed. Iron Demon Lord and Black Vulture Old Ancestor are still out there. Who will we go for next? Morosa asked. Luo Feng looked into the distance. Let's find Iron Demon Lord. Iron Demon Lord was the continent's worst sinner, on a par with Puxin, the time-space lonely boat Archmaster, and Luo He God King. He'd once plundered nearly all the people of 12 kingdoms. His accumulated crimes were monstrous. Lately, he'd kept a lower profile, hiding in a secret palace. Inside that palace, Iron Demon Lord sat armored, only his eyes visible. Master, that killer took She-Fox God King. Will he come for me? He transmitted. He always succeeds when he strikes. He's most confident now. If he dares show himself, he won't escape. A voice replied. Iron Demon Lord waited. Then a rolling star smashed down, Luo Feng's mental will striking again. Even a terror like Iron Demon Lord felt the crushing force, and his mental consciousness began to collapse. No, something's wrong. Luo Feng's expression shifted as he probed. Iron Demon Lord's body was strange. When his will began to extinguish it, something unexpected happened. Rumble. Across hundreds of millions of kilometers, endless black flames erupted, sweeping and incinerating everything. The living beings around the palace were instantly burned to ash. Amid the inferno, Iron Demon Lord raised his head, stood, and bowed respectfully. Master! Standing beside him was an old figure in a red cloak. He laughed and looked at Luo Feng. It's not easy to cultivate such a powerful consciousness for my puppet, and you destroyed it. The blood-red flames blotted out the sky. Even a God King peak could not stand long against them. Luo Feng recognized the cloaked man immediately. Emperor Yuan, he said. This Iron Demon Lord was no true independent being, but a puppet life cultivated by Emperor Yuan. In fact, some of Dichu's 3 personal guard generals were similarly unusual lives. Artificial, cultivated servitors. The cloak fluttered as Emperor Yuan merged his aura with the roaring blood-red flames. He looked at Luo Feng with cold fury. "I've caught you." Luo Feng merely smiled. His prey had never been Iron Demon Lord, She-Fox God King, or these pawns. Killing a puppet was pointless. So long as the mastermind remained, they'd simply be replaced. "Emperor Yuan," Luo Feng said, "do you know why I didn't kill all the great sinners at once?" Emperor Yuan's brow tightened. "Because you're my prey." At Luo Feng's words, the world changed. An endless blood-red river erupted across the horizon, a tide of crimson surging with unstoppable force. It rolled over Emperor Yuan's flame domain and instantly annihilated the bloodfire he had unleashed from his secret treasure. Emperor Yuan stared at the boundless sky-blotting river and did not panic. He was one of Yanfeng Ancient Kingdom's 13 emperors. As he acted, he had already alerted the others. The confrontation had just begun. Chapter 245, The Emperors Gather. After Luo Feng discovered that Di Yuan was behind the Iron Devil Lord, the #1 sinner of the Origin Continent, he immediately sent out another avatar of himself, along with Morosa, and headed straight for Black Vulture Old Ancestor, the continent's second-ranked sinner. "If I strike at Di Yuan now, all the emperors and lords of Origin Continent will be on high alert and won't give me a second chance," Luo Feng thought. "I have to eliminate Black Vulture Old Ancestor first, so he can't reincarnate." With a single thought, his avatar and Morosa crossed vast distances and arrived at Black Vulture Palace. Deep inside the palace, an endless, dense black mist twisted and coiled. That mist was Black Vulture Old Ancestor. Calm and confident, he mused, among the top 4 sinners, Fox-devouring God King and Cursed Infant God King's karmic traces have vanished. Are they dead, or have they reincarnated? I'm actually looking forward to seeing what that mysterious newcomer can do. He felt secure. 3 Lords of Thunder Ancient Country backed him, even if they were not present at this moment. Their support bolstered his confidence. Then, suddenly, he sensed a massive rolling star approaching. Awe turned to alarm. What a powerful spiritual will attack! The rolling star's spiritual will crushed his, turning the black mist that represented him into a corpse. At once, all of Black Vulture Old Ancestor's avatars, scattered across Origin Continent, collapsed into corpses. Luo Feng frowned. He could tell one of Black Vulture Old Ancestor's avatars still existed inside the distant Thunder Mountain. With Thunder Mountain's protection, his spiritual will attack had been greatly weakened there, only severely injuring that avatar instead of annihilating it. Thunder Mountain. No wonder it's the most heavily guarded place on Origin Continent. My spiritual will attack was weakened by 70 to 80%, he thought. Every emperor of Yanfeng Ancient Kingdom had a capital city, and palaces could weaken spiritual will strikes by 20 to 30%. Torn though he was, Luo Feng had still managed to eliminate Fox-devouring God King. But Thunder Mountain was unique, the only holy land in Thunder Ancient Country, crowded with lords and rumored even to harbor Thunder Ancestor's avatar. Whether a spiritual attack or a karmic strike, it was extremely difficult to harm those hidden there. Inside the Holy Land, within Thunder Mountain, Black Vulture Old Ancestor, dwelling in a cave at the mountain's heart, felt his spiritual will crushed and was instantly grievously wounded. All his avatars and resurrection vessels outside Thunder Mountain had their wills annihilated. Hiding in Thunder Mountain, and still my spiritual will can be so crushed? He thought in alarm. Outside the mountain, he would have had no means of resistance at all. He quickly sent out a frantic message to the 3 lords allied to him. Terrified, he vowed never to leave Thunder Mountain again. Luo Feng took stock of the situation calmly. His plan had worked. Fox-devouring God King was dead. Cursed Infant God King had likely reincarnated. Black Vulture Old Ancestor had an avatar hiding in Thunder Mountain. An Iron Devil Lord was a special puppet lifeform. He had succeeded in luring out the big fish, Di Yuan. The Origin Continent's supreme rules capped the upper limit of power, and that constraint had been to Luo Feng's advantage. It gave him confidence against the 2 nations' forefathers and the East Extremity Domain Ancestor. But it also meant that once emperors and lords hid in their lairs, they became much harder to threaten. Diyuan had a terrible reputation. He hadn't cultivated the Hunyuan bloodline. Instead, he used primordial origin materials to become an ultimate realm life form, entirely clear-headed. He cultivated a legacy that could become an endless abyss and delighted in devouring countless living beings. He had transformed into an endless maw that consumed billions. Now it seemed he had been using Iron Devil Lord to capture untold hosts of living beings. Diyuan stood amid an endless river of blood. His face was weathered, his cloak fluttered, and as he laughed, his armor's light dimmed. A blurry, dark abyss began to descend around him. He stretched his gloved hands out. Between heaven and earth, two giant hands manifested, palms etched with innumerable secret patterns. The palms closed, crushing and annihilating all in their path, even pressing against the blood river itself. Luo Feng watched, judging Diyuan's moves. He probably only mastered 2 or 3 Ultimate Realm techniques, he thought, but his Beyond God King level secret treasures amplify each move tremendously. He could rival my 7-branch fusion technique. Secret treasures could raise the profundity of a user's realm enormously. With a few, an emperor could contend with realm beasts or lords of myriad worlds. Diyuan urgently sent messages to summon other emperors. "Hurry, come and join forces with me to capture this black robe. If we miss him and he escapes, he'll be careful from now on. We won't get another chance." As Diyuan activated his super powerful secret treasures, Luo Feng activated the star tower within himself, but he refused to pull Diyuan into the tower. If he trapped and annihilated Diyuan inside, the risk was too great. Exposing the star tower was unacceptable. Instead, he used the star tower to control the river of life from outside. Its power surged to an incredible level. At once, the blood river altered. Each stream of water felt like a world, crushingly heavy and intent on suppression. The stream slipped past Diyuan's armor, infiltrating and annihilating the smallest components of his body. A black bead hidden within him evolved into an abyss that helped resist the erosion. But the star tower-driven blood river overwhelmed even that. Diyuan was stunned. "I have 5 super powerful secret treasures, 3 for defense, and I'm an ultimate realm life form. How can this be?" he roared. The river's power had reached the upper limit allowed by Origin Continent, and with the Star Tower's secret patterns, it far surpassed the 8-branch techniques. His defensive treasures were like sieves. His body was being steadily eaten away. He judged the erosion speed with cold clarity. Even with his defensive cloak, armor, and abyss speed, he had only 3 breaths of time left. He immediately began a frantic plea for help. "Come quickly and save me. I'll be gone in 2 breaths." Diyuan's desperate messages shocked the emperors of Yanfeng Ancient Kingdom. They all knew how formidable Diyuan usually was, how complete his set of secret treasures made him nearly untouchable. "I'm going to die. This black robe is too terrifying," his messages cried. If he reincarnated, he would lose all his super powerful secret treasures and might never have the quota to cultivate an ultimate realm life form again, so he clung to life until the last moment. At first, many emperors hesitated. They had their own affairs, seclusions, duties guarding key locations, clan missions. When Diyuan called, some simply didn't want to be involved. "Go capture Black Robe? Is that easy?" Di Feng chuckled. Di Chu chose to wait. Di thought it prudent to see more emperors get involved before committing his forces. But when Emperor Consort sensed the gravity of the situation, he intervened. He warned, "Do not go alone. Gather at my place immediately. I will activate a formation and we will rescue Diyuan together." He had a feeling that lone emperors rushing in would only be killing themselves. Diyuan's pleas intensified, and the urgency shook even the reluctant ones. Emperor Consort's summons carried weight. Apart from those who were truly unable to leave for pressing reasons, 8 emperors answered the call. Led by the contemporary Emperor Consort, they coordinated through a formation and, by thought, crossed vast distances toward the battlefield wrapped in the endless blood river. Incentives had helped. The rewards offered by the new alliance leader Zi Sangling Feng and the former leader Shu Xin Venerable had encouraged participation. The emperors gathered, ready to move as one to try to save Diyuan from the unknown force that threatened to annihilate him. Chapter 246, Death of Emperor Yuan. The emperors of Yanfeng ancient kingdom bickered among themselves, but when it mattered most, they stood together. Only by uniting could they marshal enough power to crush rogue cultivators and secure the best resources. The command of the Yanfeng ancestor had always been clear. Hunyuan Space 8-phase formation, Emperor Consort unleashed a formation treasure, an ancient grand array suffused with primordial qi unfolded in 8 stacked layers, with Emperor Consort and Emperor Chu at its core and the other 6 emperors lending their power. Activate the formation. The formation's power surged to the upper limits known on Origin Continent. With their combined effort, it was deeper, more profound. Emperor Chu, relying on his ironclad spiritual will and a highly developed Hunyuan bloodline, had already pushed himself to the continent's ceiling. When he unleashed his full strength, with 8 emperors cooperating, their might should have been unquestionable. Although Emperor Yuan has caused us trouble, he must not die at the hands of rogue cultivators, Emperor Consort transmitted. None of them wanted the relationship between Luo He and Yanfeng to sour. Killing an emperor would be catastrophic. If the ancestor learns of this, we may not be able to cooperate with Luo He again. Whoosh! The Hunyuan Space 8-phase formation traversed vast distance and descended into the region saturated by the endless blood river. Boom! The formation slammed down, radiating a terrifying pressure meant to shatter the blood river and rescue Emperor Yuan. Emperor Yuan, his body being consumed and eroded by the river, looked up with sudden hope. He was being continuously annihilated, despite several powerful treasures shielding him. On one side, looming the Hunyuan Space 8-phase formation. On the other, the endless blood river, commanded by Luo Feng through the Star Tower. Both forces had reached the upper limit of the continent's power. The Grand Formation and the Blood River collided repeatedly. The emperors expected the array to forcibly suppress the river, but it didn't. The river's power cohered like a titanic blood dragon. With each surge, it actually drove the formation backward. For 8 emperors united to be pushed onto the defensive in a direct clash was unthinkable. Impossible. Emperor Consort and Emperor Chu transmitted in alarm. The Hunyuan Space 8-phase formation has reached the highest limit on Origin Continent. With Emperor Chu's spiritual will fueling it, how could we lose? Emperor Yan, Emperor Xuan, Emperor Qing, and the others were equally stunned. Permeate, Emperor Consort ordered, shifting the formation. The array became insubstantial, blending with space itself to envelop the endless blood river. The river roared, dense micro-cracks spidered across the source world membrane, and the Hunyuan formation immediately developed fractures as well. Quickly retract the formation. Emperor Chu was anxious. Retract. Emperor Consort withdrew the array and put distance between them and the blood river. In a head-on clash, we were outmatched. Spatial permeation doesn't work either, Emperor Consort transmitted to his 7 companions. What should we do? Our formation has reached the upper limit on Origin Continent, yet we were beaten in a straight contest. In terms of profundity, we're at least 1 level lower. This is a qualitative difference, Emperor Yan replied. This black-robed, golden-masked expert must be in existence above God King. Has the Lord of Myriad Worlds broken through beyond God King, or has the East Extremity Domain ancestor made a move? Murmured others, alarmed. Even 8 emperors working together shouldn't be disadvantaged, unless the enemy's realm was unfathomably higher. Quickly save me, my body won't hold, Emperor Yuan transmitted, frantic and despairing. We can't, Emperor Consort replied. Even the 8 of us together cannot win. Emperor Yuan, reincarnate, Emperor Yan advised. Do not use a resurrection vessel. Resurrection vessels are too weak. They can't withstand this black-robed, golden-masked expert. Emperor Yuan had felt hope when the Hunyuan formation arrived, but each clash only proved their impotence. The endless blood river completely suppressed the array. Emperor Yuan's hope dwindled to despair. He repeatedly called for Emperor Qing, but Emperor Qing never answered. At last he understood his fate. If merely God Kings had been fighting, a destroyed true body could be rebuilt through a resurrection vessel. But the blood river's profoundly malignant power, the cruel techniques of the black-robed golden-masked expert, karma-based curses, killing arts, spiritual will assaults, meant a resurrection vessel would die the instant it formed. Resurrection vessels are the weakest when newly born. Against curse-killing and spiritual will attacks, Emperor Yuan's reincarnation would have no chance to survive. He would be annihilated utterly, with no time to reincarnate again. My Emperor Qing. Emperor Yuan's last feelings were a bitter mixture of indignation and abandonment. His treasures and 5 powerful secret artifacts were quickly being stripped away, an ultimate realm life form and his panoply of relics all being devoured. When his physical form had dwindled to a 10th, Emperor Yuan risked everything and activated his reincarnation secret art in a final, desperate bid. Luo Feng, controlling the endless blood river, saw the body evaporate and the artifacts left behind. Reincarnated? He thought. He had prepared a curse-killing technique aided by Morosa. Morosa was adept in curse-killing at the God King First Realm, and now, as an ultimate realm life form, he was more than confident. Luo Feng himself had advanced on the path of destruction to the God King Second Realm. Coupled with the Star Tower's destructive patterns, they were well suited to deal with a newly born resurrection vessel. If he exposes his identity later, I'll find another chance to end him, Luo Feng mused, assuming Emperor Yuan revealed himself after reincarnation. If he kept his head down and hid his identity, he might yet slip through. The endless blood river swept up Emperor Yuan's discarded treasures. From a distance came a furious shout. The 8 emperors inside the Hunyuan formation all looked over. Emperor Yan was the one shouting. Black-robed, golden-masked expert. Emperor Yan bellowed. Even if you are above God King, if you kill an emperor of Yanfeng Ancient Kingdom, we will not let it stand. Luo Feng laughed. Not let it stand. What can you do? The 8 emperors were infuriated but helpless. By the rules and balance of Origin Continent, an existence beyond God King was not to be challenged lightly. Even the 2 nations' forefathers were formidable. The low-key existences like East Extremity Domain Ancestor or the Lord of Myriad Worlds avoided direct confrontation with such powers. The master and servant inside the Blood River, Luo Feng and Morosa, showed no respect for Yanfeng. Gone. Luo Feng smiled, seized Morosa, swept the endless Blood River together, and left. The emperors in the Hunyuan formation exchanged grim looks. What now? Emperor Yuan has reincarnated. With the debts he owes the clan, even if he comes to the imperial family to confirm his identity after rebirth, he won't be able to cultivate into an ultimate realm life form again. If he can't become an ultimate realm life form, exposing himself would be suicide. They all understood the truth. A peak God King Second Realm cultivator pursued by the black-robed, golden-masked expert would have nearly no chance to survive. So after he reincarnates, he probably won't come forward, one sighed. What a shame. 13 emperors are reduced to 12, another muttered. It was a blow to Yanfeng Ancient Kingdom's prestige. Once they had crushed rivals and commanded deference across the land, now an emperor had been killed in the blink of an eye. The implications for the balance of power on Origin Continent were enormous. The black-robed, golden-masked expert's strength is beyond our handling, Diju Feng said, shaking his head. We must inform Emperor Qing and report this to the ancestor. Yes, let's go. Emperor Xuan agreed. Emperor Consort controlled the formation and led the group back to take counsel and report. In Huyang City, on the pavilion of the city lord's mansion, Luo Feng and Morosa sat drinking wine. Master is brilliant, killing those great sinners one by one and drawing out the real villain behind them, Morosa said with glee. Ha ha! Publicly killing an emperor of Yanfeng Ancient Kingdom, what a thrill. This Emperor Yuan deserved to die, Luo Feng said coldly. It's just a pity I couldn't break his reincarnation method. If he reincarnates, I'd still try to hunt him down. Emperor Yuan had devoured life on the scale of whole kingdoms. He was far worse than Tian Kun. I wanted to spar with Master before. Now I see I'm far behind, Morosa added with genuine admiration. The life and destruction great path, fused from 7 branches and nearly matching a world beast's ultimate strike, was terrifying. With 8 branches fused, it brushed the threshold of going beyond God King. Add the Star Tower's activation, and that realm rose even further. Morosa was awed. Stop flattering me, Luo Feng smiled. This matter isn't over. Not over? Morosa asked. Let's see what Yanfeng Ancient Kingdom does next, Luo Feng said. Chapter 247, The Reclusive Emperor. Qing Yanfeng, Ancient Kingdom's capital, was the most transcendent place on Origin Continent. No powerhouse dared act presumptuously within its bounds, not even the three foreign races. Inside Diqing Palace at this moment, a puppet life form stood coldly at the gate. No one is to disturb the master during his seclusion, it announced to the 8 figures assembled before it. Emperor Consort and the other emperors stood there in silence. This is serious, Emperor Consort said. One of our 13 emperors, Emperor Yuan, has been killed. You must report it to your master immediately. Although messages had been sent to Di Qing, he had not answered a single one since entering seclusion. Go, report it at once, Emperor Yan snapped. Hurry, Di Feng added. The puppet life form regarded the 8 emperors, expressionless, and shook its head. Master ordered that no matter how great the matter, he must not be disturbed while in seclusion. You, Di Chu blurted. Did you not hear? Emperor Yuan was killed. Even if all the emperors were killed, my master is not to be disturbed, the puppet replied in the same flat voice. He would obey orders without question. The emperors' faces darkened. Was that some joke? Even if the entire imperial line fell, Di Qing would not be roused? Emperor Wu muttered from the side, this puppet is too rigid. There's no reasoning with him. Resigned, Emperor Consort said, perhaps Di Qing truly has matters he must settle in seclusion. Let us go consult the forefather. They left with heavy hearts. Inside a hidden world of the Yanfeng domain, an ancient cave dwelling lay sealed. The emperors approached its mouth with solemn respect, not daring to behave otherwise. Reporting to forefather, Emperor Consort intoned, a black-robed powerhouse accompanied by an old servant killed Emperor Yuan, forcing his reincarnation. This black-robed figure is exceptionally strong. The 8 of us combined could not defeat him. He may be a beyond God King level existence. We request your instruction. The others fell respectfully silent, waiting. The cave remained mute. After a long moment, Emperor Consort said, I've also reported, but there's no answer. The forefather must also be in seclusion. By custom, when he emerges, he will learn everything. The emperors could do nothing but withdraw, unable to intrude upon the forefather's solitude. Across Origin Continent, it quickly became clear that Emperor Yuan's karmic imprint had vanished. His karma gone meant either death or forced reincarnation. The realization sent shockwaves. A middle-aged man who had traversed the past timeline arrived at the battlefield and peered into the scene. Iron Demon Lord within a hidden palace, Emperor Yuan moving nearby. Beyond that, the vision blurred. The killer is at least ultimate realm, he murmured. The great Tao left no traces. Fragments of the battle could be seen. An endless blood river clashed with the Hunyuan Space 8-phase formation, and the result was cataclysmic. Only a very few, such as the 3 foreign races, the Lord of Myriad Worlds, and the Tianmu Country Realm Beast, caught partial glimpses. Luo Feng's role, if any, remained unseen. All investigators could agree on was that Emperor Yuan had been slain, and the killer was at minimum an ultimate realm existence. Some suspected even higher. News spread to the monarchs of Thunder Ancient Country with a chill. On paper, the 2 great ancient kingdoms stood side by side, but in terms of deterrent power, Yanfeng had the edge, Di Qing. If such a killer could eliminate an emperor with ease, any monarch could be vulnerable. This person may be beyond God-King level, one monarch worried. A single glance might unhinge us. We must be cautious and find out who he is. For a time, the whole continent tensed. The once haughty royal families of the 2 kingdoms curbed their excesses. Wanton slaughter of billions of life forms came to a halt. An emperor of Yanfeng slain, that's unprecedented, nobles whispered. Some suggested Emperor Yuan might be hiding his reincarnated identity to avoid pursuit. Marquises of rival lineages debated it with relish, while more sensible rulers tightened their guard. The ones most anxious were those already burdened with great sins or who cultivated Hunyuan bloodlines vulnerable to overpowering presence. Back at Diqing Palace, a tremor ran through the gate as it finally opened. Word spread at once that Diqing, the most transcendent among Yanfeng's emperors, had emerged from seclusion. Emperor Consort, Emperor Yan, Emperor Shi, and others, whether in true form or avatar, rushed to the palace. Please sit, Diqing said from his high seat. 11 emperors arranged themselves below him with deferential posture. They all understood the unspoken truth. Though they wore the title of emperor, the day would soon come when many would leave Origin Continent to seek their fortunes beyond. Compared to Di Qing, their strength was on an entirely different tier. "You know what happened," Emperor Consort said. "What do you advise?" Di Qing laughed softly. "With Emperor Yuan gone, our Yanfeng now has 12 emperors." The emperors exchanged uneasy looks. Di Qing sounded amused. "Has Emperor Yuan not returned after reincarnating?" Di Qing asked. "He hasn't," Emperor Consort replied. "He owes the clan too much. He lacks the merit and resources to quickly reclaim an ultimate realm body." "Smart," Di Qing nodded. "If he keeps quiet about his new identity, no one can find him. That's safest." Emperor Wu protested. "This is no small thing. One of 13 emperors being slain affects the whole royal house." Di Qing's gaze fixed on him, and Wu fell silent. None of them were truly annihilated. All were reincarnated. So what's the catastrophe? Di Qing swept his eyes over those present. "You all live too comfortably on Origin Continent. This is a minor setback." Di Qing himself had a clone stationed on Origin Continent, but he had long ago begun venturing beyond. Out there, the fight for life was brutal. A clone might die and lose treasures, or worse, actions outside could implicate and annihilate one's presence in the source world. Even the two nations' forefathers moved with great caution. In Di Qing's reckoning, Origin Continent was a safe cradle. Out there was where true danger and opportunity lay. "True," Emperor Consort conceded, "but we still need a plan." Di Qing spoke slowly. "The 8 of you together have reached Origin Continent's upper limits. With Formation's secret treasures, you exceed God King level in profundity, yet you were suppressed by that black-robed figure. Either he himself is at a very high realm, or he used extraordinary secret treasures. His endless blood river overwhelmed your formation." He shook his head. "Even if I acted, I would only be roughly equal to him. Even gaining the upper hand might not let me finish him, and within Origin Continent's rules, even the forefathers' hands are tied." The emperors went quiet. "Don't talk rashly about killing him," Di Qing warned. "When you go beyond Origin Continent, you will meet countless powerhouses. Learn to make allies, and at the very least, avoid needless enemies. If that black-robed figure is truly beyond God King level and invincible here, we must adapt to his existence," Di Qing said. "If we can't eliminate him, we must learn to live with him." The emperors understood and bristled. They were used to asserting dominance, not accommodating one who had shown them contempt. "What if he remains hostile?" Emperor Yan asked. Di Qing smiled faintly. "Then it is an enmity. If you meet him outside Origin Continent, kill him if you can. Making friends is important out there, but so is killing. Strength and status are forged through it. Our foundation is rooted here on Origin Continent, so we must first try to befriend him. If reconciliation fails, then we will deal with him elsewhere. Mutual annihilation within the continent would be disastrous." All 11 emperors bowed their heads in agreement. Origin Continent wasn't that big. Someone this powerful couldn't have simply appeared out of nowhere. Di Qing considered this and said thoughtfully, "I'll ask the Lord of Myriad Worlds to see if it's him." The 11 emperor consorts waited as well. Their prime suspect at the moment was the Lord of Myriad Worlds. The emperor consort, who had earlier identified the black-robed man as Luo He, was now unsure. How long would Luo He have had to be a god king to overpower 8 emperor consorts working together and leave no trace? Di Qing sat silent, but a ripple of thought had already crossed the distance to the Myriad Worlds' capital. "Lord," he sent. The Lord of Myriad Worlds, in seclusion, radiated a majestic presence even as he lay there. His face was mild. He looked up as Di Qing's thought figure formed and couldn't help but exclaim, "Old friend, your strength has become even deeper." On Origin Continent, only the two of them had comprehended the complete Great Path. They were rivals and comrades in the same pursuit. Di Qing's resources had been far richer, however, and he had reached beyond God King level first. He had already gone outside the source world. The distance between them had widened. "Venturing out is more dangerous," Di Qing smiled, "but it brings more exposure and more opportunity. I invited you to go with me back then, but you refused. You only left after reaching beyond God King. I'm still stuck in the ultimate realm," the Lord of Myriad Worlds replied. Ultimate Realm and Beyond God King are a qualitative difference. For an ordinary Ultimate Realm cultivator, survival outside is too difficult. We are beings nurtured by the Source World, and the supreme rule of the Source World protects us. Diqing said. Even if our outside clones die, the ones left at home can recover and send out new clones. That was the advantage of source world beings. Clones. Born in the source world, they could project clones outside. The chance of permanent death dropped dramatically. I heard there are great dangers outside, the Lord of Myriad Worlds said, and that it might even affect our clones inside the source world. Yes. Diqing's expression grew serious. If we meet a high-level origin life, their level and realm can be so far beyond ours that, even if the supreme rule blocks many attacks, soul pollution becomes inevitable. Once polluted, the souls of all our clones will be tainted. A severe pollution can even kill the clones outright. Diqing recalled how Luo Feng's God King ultimate realm mind and will, even as the image of a dream, had mildly polluted him. High-level origin life is terrifying. The Lord of Myriad Worlds was shocked. The odds are low, Diqing said. Ancestors like Yuan are protecting and training us. We mostly encounter low-level Hunyuan life. But if a low-level Hunyuan life happens to evolve into a high-level origin life and we meet it, that would be just bad luck. Look at the forefathers of the two great ancient kingdoms. Haven't they lived for so long? The Lord of Myriad Worlds said. As long as we're careful and avoid excessively dangerous places, those of us from the source world who have clones are relatively safe. I heard most beings outside don't have clones? The Lord of Myriad Worlds asked. Diqing nodded. Only those born in the source world can have clones. That's our advantage. They moved on to the black-robed man. Do you know who killed Emperor Yuan? Diqing asked. I observed the battle from afar, the Lord of Myriad Worlds said. I saw the endless river of blood and the Hunyuan Space 8-phase formation, but I couldn't make out the black-robed man's identity. Didn't you suspect me? On the surface, among those on Origin Continent with the strength to do this, you're the likeliest, Diqing smiled. But I know you too well. It's not your style. The Lord of Myriad Worlds nodded. I'm also wondering who he is. Even I couldn't defeat the 8 Emperor consorts using the Hunyuan Space 8-phase formation, yet he overcame it. Diqing frowned. If it's not you, and it can't be the East Extremity Domain ancestor, then who could it be? There's a process for rising to such strength. Chaos Realm, God King First Realm, Second Realm, Ultimate Realm, step by step, the Lord of Myriad Worlds said. Logically, there should be traces. If the Lord of Shadow Sky World, who cultivates both the material and immeasurable great paths, reaches Ultimate Realm and opens a new great path, gaining infinite space's recognition and exchanging for a powerful secret treasure tailored to him, he could display such power. Infinite space rewards great path breakthroughs handsomely. Fire Ancestor, who is favored by Yuan, also has a small possibility. And Luo He was already transcendent upon entering the Chaos Realm. As a God King First Realm, he was invincible in history. As soon as he became a God King, Second Realm, he could contend with the Destruction Legion's Dark Sky Master. Luo He has always had the potential for miracles. The Lord of Myriad Worlds thought it through and said, the only 3 on Origin Continent who could plausibly perform such miracles are those 3. No one else has comparable talent. Shadow Sky World's Lord, Fire Ancestor, Luo He, Diqing said with a smile. No need to rush. Someone with that strength will expose themselves more and more. The Lord of Myriad Worlds agreed. The black-robed man's strength was terrifying. They didn't want to force his hand by accusing him openly. Yanfeng Ancient Kingdom and Thunder Ancient Country occupied the central, most prosperous parts of Origin Continent. Around them stood first-rate nations like Tianmu Country and Myriad Worlds Country, and many lesser nations. The Iron Demon Lord, the continent's greatest sinner, had once controlled a second-rate nation and exerted de facto control over a dozen surrounding nations. After all, he had once plundered the populations of 12 nations at once, and nearby god kings had fled rather than live next to him. Now, Emperor Yuan was dead, and the Iron Demon Lord had vanished. The surrounding dozen nations had lost their rulers, and undercurrents rose. The Iron Demon Lord's de facto territory included 3 second-rate nations and 13 third-rate nations, 359 chaos states in total. That's enough land to form a first-rate nation. Many powers are coveting that territory. Forces backed by the 2 great ancient kingdoms, the 3 foreign races, and perhaps that black-robed man could get involved. At first, many forces held back, but as time passed, they began to fight. Huyang City, City Lord's Mansion. Luo Feng sat in Star Tower, studying his spoils: a red cloak, a suit of armor, a bead, a pair of gloves, and a pair of combat boots. 5 secret treasures, beyond God King level, he murmured, reading the profound techniques bound into each. Unfortunately, they were all tailored for Emperor Yuan, each centered on the world origin Great Path. Each treasure was beyond God King level and tightly woven with the world origin mysteries. This bead, though, has some use, Luo Feng said, picking up a black bead in which a deep abyss swirled. This bead places the world at its center and combines life and destruction paths. The 3 paths converging in the abyss give me some marginal benefit. The gloves have hints of the destruction path too. But I can't use the other treasures at all. Luo Feng was frustrated. In the infinite space treasure trove, he could choose freely, taking what suited him best. The spoils of killing Emperor Yuan weren't a choice. They were treasures formed for the deceased emperor. Even the bead is world path centered, Luo Feng said. The abyss bead could help with comprehension and cultivation, but it wasn't ideal for combat. These 5 treasures into my hands are a waste. I should find a way to sell them. Master, Master, Morosa suddenly transmitted. Luo Feng summoned him. What is it? He asked. Master, the territory the Iron Demon Lord once effectively controlled is now being fought over by many factions, Morosa said. Should we intervene and seize it? Luo Feng traced a vast map of Origin Continent into being. The Iron Demon Lord effectively controlled 3 second-rate nations and 13 third-rate nations. His domain is huge, he observed. With Emperor Yuan backing him, he could hold such territory, Morosa said. Now Emperor Yuan is dead, and it has attracted many forces. That broad area produces rare treasures regularly, collects residence fees from countless cultivators, and even harbors devils that consume living beings. It will draw interest from ancient existences. As they fight, even minor aftershocks will harm weaker cultivators, Morosa continued. If Master governs the area, it could restore stability. Luo Feng examined the map and thought. Killing great sinners always leaves territories behind, he said, then casually drew a line on the map. The line encompassed the Iron Demon Lord's domain, the Black Vulture Old Ancestors' territory, and the remnants of the Heavenly God King's holdings. The strip he traced wrapped around both regions and included parts of other nations, forming a long, narrow stretch. That territory has been disputed for a long time and hides many devils, Luo Feng said. We'll take it. Master, the Black Vulture Old Ancestor is still alive and effectively controls his 287 chaos states. Behind him stand the Thunder Mountain monarchs. Morosa protested. We just seriously offended Yanfeng Ancient Kingdom. Now you want to seize such a large area from Thunder Mountain? Does the Black Vulture Old Ancestor have any real say? Do the monarchs behind him dare to object? Luo Feng asked, glancing at Morosa. Morosa trembled. He was still too timid. As Master says, he stammered. Luo Feng looked at the map. With his stroke, he had carved out a territory of 729 chaos states. In scope, it surpassed Tianmu Country, Myriad Worlds Country, and East Extremity Domain. It would rival the 2 great ancient kingdoms. Chapter 249, The Third Power on Origin Continent. The stronger Luo Feng became, the more lives he felt responsible for protecting. The 729 chaos states he had set his sights on lay partly in the backyard of Thunder Ancient Country and partly in the buffer zones between the 2 great ancient kingdoms and Myriad Worlds Country, Tianmu Country. Without tacit approval from the emperors and monarchs of the 2 great ancient kingdoms, how could the likes of Iron City Demon Lord or Black Vulture Old Ancestor have been allowed to run rampant for so long? By taking this territory, I finally step into the light, Luo Feng thought. With a public identity, it will be easier to deal with the 2 great ancient kingdoms and the 3 foreign races. Even after killing Emperor Yuan, Luo Feng still intended to negotiate with Yanfeng Ancient Kingdom. He believed they would act rationally. If Yanfeng truly went mad, he could always make them sober up again. Master, how shall we secure this territory? Morosa asked, eyes bright with anticipation. That'll depend on your campaigns, Luo Feng said with a smile. You will act as my subordinate. Morosa? The world beast's pupils gleamed. Alone? As my subordinate, you may unleash your peak world beast strength. As an ultimate realm world beast, occupying these lands should be within your power. Morosa felt his blood surge. A hint of crimson flared in his eyes. After waiting so long, Master finally allows me to display the true power of a world beast, he said, eager and ravenous. Luo Feng's eyelids twitched. He quickly reminded him, remember what you can and cannot do. I intend to govern the 729 chaos states, not unleash a calamity. Master despises evil. I know what to do, Morosa replied. Shall I begin now? Luo Feng nodded. Though Luo Feng himself, having comprehended the great path of creation and destruction and wielding the Star Tower, was more powerful in many respects, an ultimate realm world beast had unique methods and instincts. At night, Morosa soared above the lands, surveying them. A restless hunger stirred in his soul. He had held back for too long. With his master's permission, he could indulge within limits. He who has committed great sins will answer for them, Morosa murmured, and then his laughter curled like a knife. Heh! One by one, delicious. Morosa's ability to lock onto prey surpassed Luo Feng's. In an instant, he fixed on every god-king level existence across the 7-9 chaos states. For an ultimate realm, this was routine. Windwolf Country was a minor third-rate state tucked in the buffer zone. Luo Feng's newly claimed strip of territory happened to include it. The Windwolf Country Lord, a guest elder of Thunder Ancient Country who cultivated the Hunyuan bloodline, was confident. He swallowed a crystal orb that contained the lives of over 100 million beings and considered himself discreet. Taking blood sacrifices only from his small fief was humility for someone of his position. Then an invisible force wrapped around him. He looked up in alarm and found himself standing in darkness, whose edges folded in on themselves. Spare, he began, but his words were cut off. His flesh and soul melted, dissolving into the darkness until nothing remained. This Windwolf Country Lord cultivated the Hunyuan bloodline, but he was too weak, Morosa said with a hungry smile. God-king level prey, body and soul, such rarity. One meal followed another. Morosa relished them, consuming tainted god-kings who had committed great crimes. Even a replica of Black Vulture Old Ancestor was swallowed whole. Impossible! Black Vulture Old Ancestor was stunned. One of his clones, hidden in a secret palace, was devoured. The poison in his Hunyuan bloodline was potent enough to harm even ultimate realm beings, but to be swallowed and annihilated like that? The clone's instant destruction sent a curse outward and killed other copies in the world, leaving only the one on Thunder Mountain alive by chance. Morosa devoured 9 god kings whose sins were heavy. Only Black Vulture Old Ancestor survived, by sheer luck. The other 8, no matter what protections they possessed, could not escape the ambush of a peak world beast. News spread fast across Origin Continent. 8 god kings have died in succession, people whispered. 2 were god king second realms, and 6 were god king first realms. Did they reincarnate? There were only a few hundred god kings in total on Origin Continent. 8 falling in quick succession sent a chill through the rest. Many feared they might be next. After the initial killings, Morosa chuckled and split into 23 clones. Each clone set off to encounter other god kings scattered through the territory. In the capital of Yunlan country, God King Yunlan watched darkness descend over the city and saw a simple old man materialize, his presence cold and indifferent. Under that invisible aura, she felt insignificantly small. This old man could kill her with a thought. It was the most terrifying presence she had ever sensed. Shang Zun, she exclaimed and bowed low. My master intends to rule the surrounding 729 chaos states, which naturally includes your Yunlan country, Morosa said. Your sins are light, so you may live, the old man added. Yunlan knew then why the 8 god kings had been taken. Those 8 carried deep sins. Morosa laid out 2 choices, pledge allegiance to his master, or leave quickly. Who is your master? God King Yunlan asked, trembling but eager. Not long ago, my master killed Emperor Yuan, Morosa replied. At that, Yunlan prostrated herself without hesitation. The only being ever capable of killing Yanfeng Ancient Kingdom's emperor, who remained unavenged even now, was a presence beyond terrifying. To be associated with such power was an honor. Yunlan is willing to follow, she said. Similar conversations took place at 22 other locations. Some god kings chose to flee, some pledged allegiance. Once Morosa's aura merged with the great path of destruction, touched them, even God King's second realms felt nothing but dread and submission. Most departed, a few stayed and swore loyalty. Morosa did not forbid the spread of news. The fleeing God Kings carried the story far. The black-robed, golden-masked expert actually plans to occupy the 729 Chaos States. Forces across the continent buzzed. And his subordinate may even be an ultimate realm? All eyes turned to see how the two great ancient kingdoms would react. After all, the 729 Chaos States lay too close and directly challenged their authority. Yet strangely, the two great ancient kingdoms remained silent. The 729 Chaos States were quick to consolidate. In the central region of the territory, they chose a city as a base and began expanding it into a future capital. "Come," Morosa said, walking at the front. 9 god kings who had pledged loyalty trailed beside him. Following the black-robed, golden-masked expert carried risks. His conflict with Yanfeng Ancient Kingdom was well known, but it also offered opportunity. They walked deep into the palace and halted before a figure in silver robes and a golden mask, Luo Feng himself, cloaked but unmistakable in authority. "Master," Morosa bowed. The 9 god kings bowed as well. Luo Feng looked down at them and spoke leisurely. "You know I intend to govern these 729 territories and establish a nation. Its name will be Galaxy." "Galaxy God Country?" the 9 echoed, intrigued. "Galaxy," Luo Feng repeated. They had never heard the name before, but they praised it at once. "Congratulations, Country Lord. May Galaxy God Country stand alongside the two great ancient kingdoms." "The two great ancient kingdoms are in decline. Our Galaxy God Country will rise." Luo Feng observed their enthusiasm. Naming the nation was the first step. Sooner or later, he would reveal himself fully. For now, he needed to mark his territory. Boom, with a thought, he activated the star tower within him. While an ordinary world life form could not project the slender strip that was the Galaxy God Country, the star tower expanded his influence to cover the entire area. Above the 729 Chaos States, faint crimson rivers appeared, flowing through the sky and drawing countless gazes. From today onward, the Galaxy God Country is established. A mighty voice issued from the endless blood river, reverberating across every corner of the 729 Chaos States. The extent of the endless blood river domain shall define the nation's borders. That terrifying proclamation made ancient existences across Origin Continent tremble. They realized, with dawning dread and awe, that a new force had just been born, one that would stand as the third power on Origin Continent. Chapter 250, Above the God King. On a vast, desolate plain, a young man stared into the distance at a mighty, endless river of blood that swallowed half the sky. "I was killed, and the Yanfeng Ancient Kingdom did nothing?" His eyes were cold. "Now that black-robed figure dares to set up a massive god country rivaling the two great ancient kingdoms. Let's see whether the two great ancient kingdoms will keep putting up with this." Di Qing, the Yanfeng ancestor, the Thunder ancestor. Could they really endure such an affront? The young man was none other than the reincarnation of Emperor Yuan. He had not returned to the Yanfeng imperial family. He knew he lacked the quota to cultivate into an ultimate realm life form, and worse, there were members of the imperial house who would gladly see him dead. If he went back, his identity might be exposed to that black-robed figure. Perhaps Di Qing and the others were in seclusion. Perhaps their strength was focused elsewhere, only emerging to rest and recover. "For now, my priority is to comprehend a complete great path," he decided. "It's better to rely on myself." In truth, his cultivation stood at the peak of the God King's second realm. By consuming countless lives, he had strengthened himself and even mastered 5 Ultimate Realm secret techniques, an achievement that placed him among the foremost god emperors of the Yanfeng Ancient Kingdom. Had fate not led him to clash with Luo Feng in the Star Tower, he might have been unbeatable. If he could grasp still more Ultimate Realm techniques, perhaps he could break further. With a single step, he melted into the air and vanished. News of the Galaxy God Country's founding rippled through the Origin Continent. Everyone waited to see how the two great ancient kingdoms would react. Night fell over the capital of the Galaxy God Country. Luo Feng sat alone atop a 9-story pavilion, a cup of liquor in hand. Founding a god country is one thing. Making it stable enough to stand beside the two great ancient kingdoms is another, he mused. The two nations' forefathers were proud. Whether they would accept the galaxy god country was far from certain. He inwardly hoped they would act. Any clash would expose the flaws in his methods and teach him where to improve. Morosa, someone has come, a voice reported. Morosa appeared silently at his side. Luo Feng had already noticed. A faint blood-tinted fluctuation swept by, and a disheveled, middle-aged man materialized on the pavilion, his grin easy, his eyes sharp. I expected the two great ancient kingdoms might move against you, so I kept the Star Tower's domain intact, Luo Feng said. I didn't expect the first visitor would be the space-time old devil. The newcomer's smile widened. That endless river of blood you command contains infinite mysteries of life. It reaches into past and future. Even a time projection of me cannot avoid its pull. If the great path of life were complete, it would indeed be like a river, penetrating time, touching all things. Luo Feng's progress on the life Tao remained at the God King's second realm, but the Star Tower was woven from the riddles of life. He had fully grasped some of its secret patterns, enough to form powerful techniques. Its domain already reached into past and future and warped life itself. The space-time old devil regarded the silver-robed, golden-masked figure before him with a touch of awe and caution. With his senses he perceived an aggregation of utterly terrifying energy. If that power were unleashed, it could obliterate a world. This galaxy lord walks the great path of life and has already passed the beyond God King level, he murmured. On the life Tao, the farther practitioners go, the more dangerous and unpredictable they become. A path that preserves and destroys, that can cripple by permeation and make killing impossible. The old devil's grin turned sly. The Yanfeng and Thunder ancestors have run into a difficult opponent. The life Tao cultivator is almost invincible given the constraints of the origin continent. The arrival of your galaxy lord is a direct challenge, snatching a piece of their backyard. You three foreigners no doubt have your own interests here, Luo Feng said. We want what everyone wants, the special life remnants and the secret techniques left behind by Yuan, the space-time old devil replied. Those relics are priceless. I believe your lordship has a high chance of obtaining such treasures. I welcome trade. My terms will satisfy you. Luo Feng produced the 5 spoils he had taken from Emperor Yuan, a cloak, an abyssal pearl, a suit of armor, boots, and gloves. The old devil examined them and laughed softly. These are what remained after Emperor Yuan's death? Yanfeng truly was stingy. These are only God Emperor early-stage class items. God Emperor early-stage secrets? Luo Feng's interest flickered. He was only just now learning about the wider world. You've traveled beyond the origin continent? The space-time old devil nodded. I have. Going from the God King Ultimate Realm into the Beyond God King tier is a qualitative leap. Beyond the God King level, there is no clear great path to follow. Everything is groping in the dark. Sometimes you grow even if you follow the wrong road, but sooner or later hidden problems appear and you stall. Luo Feng understood. The God King realm had 3 tiers, guided by the great path. Beyond that, one must grope forward alone. That's why rare inheritances teach cultivators how to create high-level secret techniques before their realms permit them, so they can push forward when the path gets murky. The old devil continued, those who've gone beyond God King hail from billions of worlds and follow many schools, so their titles vary: God Emperor, God Sovereign, Witch Ancestor, Tao Lord. Most cultivate by bloodline, so God Emperor is the most common. The God Emperor realm itself has 4 stages: early, middle, late, and consummation. Other schools are likewise divided into 4 steps. The 4th step is a common ceiling, the half-Hunyuan realm. Break past that and you become an origin life. Yuan was an origin life of terrifying power. And the value of secret treasures depends on the mysteries sealed in them, the old devil added. Your 5 items are early-stage God Emperor artifacts, well-made, suitable for God Kings, but not extraordinary. For our first trade, I'll give you a God Emperor late-stage life-type secret treasure. It should help you. He offered to take the armor and the abyssal pearl in exchange. Luo Feng made no fuss. Those items were useful, but not irreplaceable. Within infinite space, the treasure trove could redeem artifacts of higher grade. Reward points were the real currency and hard to earn. He had to spend them carefully. Don't worry, the old devil assured him with a wink. Once you cross out of the origin continent, you'll see I've actually lost out here. Agreed, Luo Feng said. A clone of the space-time old devil would fetch the promised treasure. The old devil had brought nothing valuable in person. He carried a cache of treasures across vast distances and revealed only a sliver for each trade. Luo Feng waited patiently. In a ripple of space, another figure of the old devil appeared, this one bearing the object for the exchange. Chapter 251, Water Drop Flying Boat. Space-time old devil merged his two figures into one. He smiled, flicked his hand, and a drop of cyan water appeared in his palm. The drop slowly took on the outline of a flying vessel. This is a late-stage God Emperor escape-type flying ship. When you leave the source world, you'll face many dangers. This will be of great use, he said. Luo Feng reached out and took it. The cyan drop settled in his palm. As his consciousness slipped into it, he quickly assumed control of the relic. The water droplet naturally reformed into the shape of a ship. A life-type secret treasure for a late-stage God Emperor, he muttered as he traced the profound runes embedded in it. He could recognize the patterns, though they were far weaker than the Star Tower. For now, however, he could only activate a tiny fraction of the Star Tower's power, and only a sliver of this water drop's potential. Even so, as his power flowed through the relic, he felt its immense weight, a presence many times heavier than his own life form. With all his strength, he could barely budge it. I can sense the entire source world, Luo Feng realized. With this water drop flying ship, he could perceive every corner of the source world, even the 3,000-dimensional spaces of the primordial universes. A single thought could send him to any location within its sensing range. But the primordial universes were vaguely guarded by the supreme rule. Trespassing could bring severe consequences. This flying ship has a vast sensing range, Space-Time Old Devil explained. Within that range, you can reach any point with a single thought, and because it is a life-type vessel, it's incredibly dense, capable of protecting you from many dangers. For young juniors like you, when you first step outside the source world, lacking protection can mean death. Is it very dangerous outside? Luo Feng asked. Extremely, Space-Time Old Devil replied. Those who can leave the source world are not ordinary. A few are source world natives, but the vast majority come from billions of other worlds, cultivators. They use diverse methods and techniques, and when you first leave the origin continent, you won't know their ways. It's easy to fall into their traps. Despite their variety, cultivators are not our true adversaries. Our real enemies are the skyborn mixed-source lives. They were born outside the cage. They are origin life. Most lack high intelligence and comprehension, so they can't access much of their bloodline power, and their strength often tops out at the God Emperor level. These lower intellect ones are the low-level Hunyuan life. They're our opponents among the cultivators, the old devil continued. But the stronger high-level origin life, don't even think about them. If we run into them, we'll die. Even our avatars hiding in the source world can be implicated and wiped out. Even home avatars can die? Luo Feng's alarm surged. Can the supreme rule not protect them? Nothing is absolute, Space-Time Old Devil said gravely. The supreme rule itself is in danger. In danger? Luo Feng's confusion deepened. The skyborn mixed source race is vast and supremely powerful, far surpassing the cultivator camp, Space-Time Old Devil said. Senior Yuan and others are resisting them, but overall, we're at a disadvantage. I've seen entire source worlds devoured by them. He sighed. I once saw a behemoth invade a world where our cultivators had gathered. Even origin life couldn't stop it. They were torn apart. I self-destructed my avatar to escape. Very few survived. Luo Feng felt cold. Worlds consumed, behemoths tearing even origin life apart. Compared to such forces, he was puny. Outside the source world, it's brutal, Space-Time Old Devil said, reading Luo Feng's expression. That's why I grab every opportunity, teleporting between source worlds to find chances and advance my cultivation. After Space-Time Old Devil left, 2-Realm Palace Master and 10,000 Law Tower Master came to see Luo Feng. They expected him to acquire special life remnants and secret arts from Emperor Yuan's remains. Luo Feng tried to trade the other 3 of Yuan's secret treasures, cloak, battle boots, and gloves, but the visitors dismissed those as early-stage God Emperor items of little value. Of the 5 items, Only the armor and the beads are truly valuable, they observed. They also shared what they knew about the outside world without holding back. The more Luo Feng learned, the heavier his heart became. The source world was a cradle protecting source life. Outside lay darkness. He hadn't reached the ultimate realm yet. He was only a second realm god king, and that made him vulnerable. Still, his life and destruction great path, a fused path, was extraordinarily powerful for his level, and he had the Star Tower to further his comprehension. Meanwhile, the newly formed Galaxy God Country began to draw attention. Some enemies of the two great ancient kingdoms pledged allegiance to its lord. Guishu Emperor approached, eyes reddening with restrained emotion. "In my previous life, I was Lihei God King," he said. "I hold a blood feud with Emperor Yan, Emperor Shi, and Emperor Wu of the Yanfeng ancient kingdom. My clan was massacred by them. Since my reincarnation, I have sought revenge, but I've always aimed only at those three. I've not harmed others. I beg to follow the Lord." Luo Feng, robed in silver with a golden mask, inclined his head. "I know of Li God King's affair," he said. "I value loyalty. Guishu, from this day you are a member of my Galaxy God Country." Guishu bowed. Morosa, who now managed the Galaxy God Country as chief steward and had enough authority to control these unruly god kings, took Guishu away. Luo Feng smiled to himself. He wondered how Guishu would react when Luo Feng later revealed his true identity. Yuntian God King, a female god king from the Reincarnation Little Building, also pledged with her Dao companion. After becoming enemies with the Thunder Ancient Country, she had been forced into hiding, but now the couple could openly join the Galaxy God Country. Far away in Yanfeng Ancient Kingdom, Qingdu's Diqing Palace, Diqing looked toward the Galaxy God Country. The Galaxy God Country has been established some time. The three foreign races must have visited him. He should know much about the world beyond the source world, he mused, and decided it was time to meet the Galaxy Lord. A thought carried force swept across the distance and descended upon the Galaxy God Country's capital. Inside the palace, Luo Feng and Morosa felt it simultaneously, a vast, terrifying power transmitted remotely, pushing the limits of the origin continent without causing commotion, grand and restrained. Morosa's heart trembled. "Master, this opponent is terrifying. I'm far from his match." "It's an existence above God King," Luo Feng said cautiously. The three foreign races had come from outside and had been suppressed to the Chaos Realm's upper limit. Luo Feng had handled them easily before, but this force demanded respect. A faint crimson tide rose around the capital, resisting that invisible pressure. A clear, cold voice sounded. "Diqing greets the Galaxy Lord." Diqing in green robes stepped to the main gate, pausing there, an act of goodwill. The gate opened, and he entered. In 2 steps, he stood inside the 9-story pavilion where a banquet awaited. Morosa stood by to serve. "Today I finally meet the Galaxy Lord," Diqing said with a smile, studying Morosa with surprise. He probed with many observation methods. The Galaxy Lord's avatar was condensed from a terrifying blood river, vast and weighty. But Morosa was like an abyss, difficult to probe. It was one thing not to be able to see through the Galaxy Lord, quite another not to see through his attendant. "He is a world beast under my command," Luo Feng explained. Diqing chuckled. "I wondered how 2 powerful existences could rise on the origin continent, so this servant is a world beast. The Galaxy Lord is indeed extraordinary to cultivate one." At Diqing's level, world beasts meant little, bound by fate, forever limited to the ultimate realm. Yet their presence still marked Luo Feng's growing influence and the strange, dangerous world beyond the source world that everyone now had to reckon with. Chapter 252, Diqing's Invitation. Luo Feng watched Diqing closely. Even through the domain formed by the Star Tower, he could sense a razor-sharp edge to Diqing's presence, so keen that even Luo Feng's endless blood river might not be able to withstand it. As Luo Feng thought, no wonder he's the only god king of this era on the origin continent. The 2 nations' forefathers and the East Extremity domain ancestor aren't from this era. His talent is a generational leap, far beyond other cultivators. Excluding Luo Feng himself, Diqing was the most terrifying figure of their era. After him came the ultimate realm lord of myriad worlds, then the various emperor consorts, Emperor Wu, Emperor Yuan, Empress Feng Du, the fire ancestor, and others. Diqing's gaze, however, never left Luo Feng. He paid no mind to the world beast at all. Outside the source world, the minimum threshold for teleportation was an ultimate realm lifeform, so elites from the origin continent rubbed shoulders with elites from billions of other worlds. To Di Qing, a world beast was beneath notice. I always thought the origin continent produced only me and the Lord of Myriad Worlds in this era, Di Qing said, eyes burning with excitement. Who would have thought, as the origin continent approaches its twilight, the Galaxy Lord would appear? This is truly a great joy. Coming from the same origin continent, they were natural companions for life and death. Trustworthy allies were rare outside their homeworld. If you don't mind, I'll call you Galaxy Old Brother, Di Qing said with a smile. Fine, Luo Feng replied. The 13 emperor consorts of the Yanfeng ancient kingdom each had their own style. Di Qing belonged to the most dazzling type. His talent was extraordinary and far ahead of his peers. He scorned shortcuts like Hunyuan bloodline consumption and devouring living beings. By mastering the operation of heaven and earth rules, he reached the ultimate realm, even breaking past into the level above God King. Resources helped, of course, but other emperor consorts and imperial families had as much, and yet none of them reached the ultimate realm this era. That showed how terrifying Di Qing's gift truly was. Emperor Yuan's downfall was his own doing, Di Qing said carelessly. He was greedy by nature, consumed billions of living beings a few times, made a mess of things. I would have killed such a troublesome fool long ago if I had the authority. But the Yanfeng imperial laws were laid down by the ancestor. I can't simply change them. Luo Feng was a little surprised. Di Qing didn't seem to have come to cause trouble. He seemed to think Emperor Yuan deserved punishment. Di Qing continued thoughtfully, the ancestor is lenient. He believes there are myriad great paths and doesn't bind people too tightly. But enough of that. I came to invite you, Galaxy Old Brother. Leave the origin continent. Let the two of us go out together. Invite me to go out? Luo Feng blinked. It's dangerous beyond the origin continent. Alien races can't be trusted. Betrayal is always possible, Di Qing said. But you and I are both from the origin continent. Even in the next era, our avatars will remain here, bound to coexist for ages. That makes us the most dependable allies. Like the ancestor of Yanfeng and the Thunder Ancestor, companions through life and death for countless years, they supported each other to reach their heights, Di Qing said. I need a trustworthy, capable partner. You can teleport from the origin continent to many places, right? It's not guaranteed I'd arrive at the same destination as you, Luo Feng said. I have Hunyuan space coordinates and can lock onto a destination, Di Qing replied. I can send an avatar to teleport with you, then you can teleport to where I am. When I first left, I landed in this world. I've been rooted here for a long time and have a foundation. If we join forces, your start will be much smoother. Luo Feng was tempted. Still, he wasn't even an ultimate realm life form yet. He wasn't qualified to leave the origin continent. The origin continent is too small for us, Di Qing urged. Outside the source world, there are elites from many source worlds and from billions of worlds. That's where we should go. I'm cultivating a secret technique now, Luo Feng said after thinking. When it's perfected, I'll go out. How long will that take? Di Qing asked. At their level, a powerful secret technique could take 1 million or 10 million eras to perfect. Luo Feng shook his head. About 1,000 eras. He had obtained 3 kinds of ultimate realm Hunyuan bloodline biological materials and wanted to elevate his world life form. Even low-intelligence ultimate realm Hunyuan creatures had terrifying power. With those materials, he hoped his body could rival a higher God King, combined with deeper accumulation in the life and destruction great path. Most crucially, only ultimate realm life forms could pass through the teleportation channel. Only 1,000 eras. Di Qing smiled. No rush. Focus on cultivation and perfect your secret technique, then we'll depart together. Luo Feng nodded. Judging from their conversation and what he knew of Di Qing, he seemed a suitable companion. Above all, they shared the same origin continent. Over the long years ahead, they'd have kin, friends, and disciples to consider. Betrayal between two people from the same source world would be exceedingly unlikely. If you don't mind, shall we spar? Di Qing asked. A match will show the forces of the origin continent that they'd be fools to make you an enemy. All right, Luo Feng said, eager for the challenge. Then let's go outside the continent, into the universe sea, Di Qing suggested. We won't harm the innocent there. They moved in a flash, covering an enormous distance to the universe sea just beyond the origin continent. Though close to the world, the universe sea was a vast, empty expanse, no living things there to be affected. Please, Di Qing said with a smile. He had fought countless battles and met experts from many worlds. Under the origin continent's power restrictions, he felt no pressure. He only wanted to know how strong this future companion could be. Luo Feng braced himself. With a thought, his body transformed into an endless river of blood. It surged outward, spreading across an infinitely vast area. The blood river formed its own enclosed world. The flow had no end in length or breadth. Anyone whose strength was insufficient would be trapped within its reach. Break! Di Qing stood motionless, but terrifying sword lights erupted from him and sliced in every direction. These blades were condensed to an extreme, capable of cutting through obstacles and even severing operating rules. Luo Feng's blood river was dense, each stream like a world, yet the 19 sword lights cut through it. The blades tore open the blood river's barriers and reached into the surrounding universe sea. The universe sea itself was ripped. Spatial fissures and long cracks formed in the membrane of the source world. The unbridled power of those 19 sword lights startled every god king on the origin continent. What is that power? God kings across the continent felt their hearts race. A force that could annihilate them had erupted at the continent's edge. Many tried to spy on the fight. Powerful god kings used distant means. Weaker ones relied on images relayed by the Yanfeng Guild and the Thunder Merchant Guild. The Galaxy Lord and Di Qing are fighting. Is Di Qing avenging Yanfeng Ancient Kingdom? Is this about Emperor Yuan? Whispers ran through the forces. Emperor Yan, Emperor Wu, Emperor Yuan, and the other emperor consorts watched with excitement. They had complete faith in Di Qing. Di Qing said he couldn't handle the Galaxy Lord, yet he's made a move, one observer murmured. Among the watching god kings was Zuo Shanqi. He had long known the identity of the black-robed, golden-masked expert. Luo Feng's strength can suppress the combined might of 8 emperor consorts. I wonder how he'll fare against Di Qing, Zuo Shanqi thought, nervous but confident. His disciple's talent exceeded even Di Qing and the Lord of Myriad Worlds. Having arrived on the origin continent only a few hundred eras ago, Luo Feng had soared to his present level. The potential was terrifying. Nearby in the universe sea, Luo Feng felt the distant prying of many god kings and understood Di Qing's intent, to make a spectacle so the continent's forces would see the Galaxy Lord clearly. If you have strength, you must show it, Di Qing said. Once they see, they'll be much more cautious. Outside the endless blood river, 19 sword lights hung in the void, forming a massive sword array. Brother Di Qing's array is formidable. Those lights cut through my blood river, Luo Feng thought, impressed. Di Qing smiled. I struck 19 swords, and your blood river's power has barely diminished. Now I'll get serious. This array is called the 3,000 Killing Array, Di Qing said. It draws on the profound mysteries of an ancient witch array and has been fused with my techniques. Its power is limited by the supreme rule, but its depth can be fully realized. Receive my move. At once, the sword array erupted. Countless sword lights spun and coalesced, the grand formation shifting into black and white, aiming to annihilate the entire blood river. But the river was incredibly dense. No matter how the black and white swords twisted and struck, they could only affect a portion of the blood flow. Wisps of crimson seeped through, corroding the blades until some collapsed. A life path blood river? Di Qing judged in an instant. Each thread of that river contains terrifying vitality. Once it contaminates my sword lights, it can erode and destroy them. Chapter 253, Star Tower, out. Di Qing stood unmoving as an endless torrent of sword light converged on him. He himself had become like a sword. The surging river of blood could not erode him in the slightest. 3,000 killing formation, sky pillar world. Di Qing thought, and the sword formation shifted. Within the river of blood, pillars of sword light rose, each pillar majestic, infinitely tall, propping up a vast world. 36 sky pillars? Luo Feng watched, surprised. In that created world, 36 pillars upheld the heavens, locking in the raging, heavy blood river. These 36 sky pillars are the parts of the sky pillar world I managed to integrate into the formation, Di Qing said with a smile. What do you think of the power? With 36 sky pillars as a base supporting a world, this world sword formation is astounding, Luo Feng replied. He felt the endless killing intent in those 36 pillars and laughed. But my blood river isn't so simple. Rise. Luo Feng poured his immense will into the blood river. The torrent writhed like a giant python and suddenly whipped its tail. The river roared as its tail struck one of the sword-light pillars. Bang! The pillar shuddered. Cracks spidered across it. Di Qing's eyes narrowed. The simple whip carried a depth of power he hadn't expected. The limit of power on the origin continent wasn't a single burst, but a continuous, relentless onslaught, shredding strangulation, subtle infiltration, pulverization, woven together. One tail whip and a sky pillar already showed fractures. The blood river rolled and lashed like a colossal serpent. The sword-light pillars began to collapse one after another, unable to hold. This power. Is this the strength of Di Qing and Galaxy Lord? Other god kings from the origin continent, emperor monarchs of Yanfeng and Thunder, and the rest, watched from afar with clenched chests. Those towering sword-light pillars and the unrestrained blood river were forces they could not withstand. This is beyond God King level. Di Qing and Galaxy Lord are terrifying. Even the world beast from Tianmu country watched, filled with frustration. It had reached the ultimate realm through consumption, but after that it had been stuck, unable to make the leap to beyond God King level. Compared to these two, it felt hopelessly inferior. Lord of Myriad Worlds observed from a distance, intrigued. On the basis of a complete great path, extracting other profound mysteries and integrating them to advance, it's possible, but incredibly difficult, he murmured. A complete great path is already consummate. Grafting in other mysteries often becomes superfluous and weakens rather than strengthens. He could integrate a little and gain a marginal increase, but a qualitative leap? Unlikely. Perhaps it was time to venture beyond the origin continent and see other worlds. Until now, only Di Qing had surpassed him in this era. Now there was also Galaxy Lord. Di Qing watched the blood river sweep and crush his 36 pillars, and he couldn't help but smile. Galaxy second brother, you truly have extraordinary power. I'll now unleash the strongest version of my 3,000 killing formation, 3,000 worlds. As his voice fell, billions of sword lights coalesced, laden with endless mysteries, forming a grand formation. Luo Feng's expression shifted. Around them a world bloomed. Birdsong, fragrance, rolling land and sky, mountains undulating, even ordinary creatures taking shape. You're recreating life? Luo Feng said, surprised. 3,000 worlds can evolve everything. It's far from the operation of the supreme rule, but it touches its essence, Di Qing said, appearing within that crafted world with a smile. The blood river, nearly half the size of that world, was bound by an invisible rule. The world's power suppressed it. The river could barely stir. Within the blood river, sword light flared, annihilating strands of its power, but the river pulsed with vitality. Destroy one thread, and another would surge back. Every movement of my blood river is difficult. It is being completely suppressed, Luo Feng said in surprise. This blood river had been formed by the Star Tower's secret patterns, yet here it was subdued. Galaxy second brother, your blood river is already profound. In realm terms, it counts as early-stage God Emperor, Di Qing said. Under the origin continent's power limit, I can gain a slight advantage, but I cannot harm you. Your river's vitality is terrifying. Luo Feng laughed. I didn't expect to be suppressed on the origin continent. Brother Di Qing, I'm going all out now. You should bring out your secret treasure. Di Qing blinked. Going all out? Appear. Luo Feng planted himself in the heart of the blood river and shouted. A dark, 9-story tower began to rise from the torrent, deep, profound. As soon as it appeared, the 3,000 worlds shook. Cracks raced across land, mountain, and sky. The world began to fracture. Previously, Luo Feng had only activated the Star Tower's secret pattern to transform his body into the blood river in combat. This time, he was summoning and controlling the Star Tower itself. Di Qing's face changed. The 9-story tower gnawed at the crafted worlds, forcing them to disintegrate. It grew steadily, vast, majestic, and its expansion crushed everything in its path. Di Qing's formation could not be fully deployed. This treasure, Di Qing's heart thudded. The Star Tower's aura felt like the work of an origin life. In the infinite space of the origin continent, that was the most likely source for such a refined secret treasure. There was a gulf between artifacts casually refined by emperors and those refined by origin life or by figures like Senior Yuan. Senior Yuan and his peers had already transcended the cage. Even casually refined items could carry rule-based effects. For example, universally weakening attacks below origin life by 90%. Emperor's artifacts could not produce that kind of rule-based effect. Now Di Qing could sense high-level rules emanating from the Star Tower. This was no ordinary Emperor-forged treasure. Across the origin continent, everyone watched in stunned silence. The 9-story tower had already pushed to the origin continent's power limit and carried terrifying, rule-like erosive effects. Fear and despair rippled through observers. What a treasure, the 3 foreign races muttered with covetous eyes. It could be something Senior Yuan left behind. Unfortunately, it's inside the origin continent, another said. No one can snatch it here. The other origin powerhouses stood aghast. Galaxy Lord's strength can actually overwhelm Di Qing. How can a 9-story tower be this terrifying? The emperors and monarchs murmured. So he hadn't truly gone all out when he killed Emperor Yuan. This tower amplifies him far beyond. Galaxy Second Brother, put your treasure away, Di Qing called from a distance, and immediately retreated. The Star Tower merged into the endless blood river and vanished. The river contracted into Luo Feng's body again. During their clash, Luo Feng had confirmed Di Qing could not injure his blood river at all, so he had openly displayed the Star Tower. There were too few opponents on the origin continent worthy of the Star Tower. Luo Feng had been itching to use it. Di Qing stepped closer, smiling. It's no wonder, Galaxy Second Brother, that with your talent you obtained a powerful treasure left by Senior Yuan. I also once gained a treasure of Senior Yuan's, but I took it out to the outside world early on. When you bring this 9-story tower out, be careful, Di Qing warned. Foreign forces will target it. Aren't you afraid of being robbed, Brother Di Qing? Luo Feng asked. Di Qing laughed. Just be careful. Senior Yuan casually left behind many secret treasures. Within infinite space, they can be exchanged there. Some treasure lands, like Sky Pillar World, occasionally spawn such items. Luo Feng understood. Di Qing regarded the Star Tower as the kind of treasure that could be traded in infinite space. Those treasures in infinite space are refined by origin life, and some might even be personally made by Senior Yuan, Di Qing continued. Of course, their values vary. High-end ones exceed 100,000 reward points. Ordinary ones cost a few tens of thousands. Secret treasures over 100,000 reward points can drive emperors insane, Di Qing sighed. Those worth 2 or 3 tens of thousands are much more common. Luo Feng nodded. The few treasures in infinite space worth 100,000 points were the kinds that could help one jump out of the cage. He hadn't exchanged any treasures yet and hadn't fully understood how the infinite space items differed from his Star Tower. For Luo Feng, the Star Tower's greatest use was not pure combat, but assisting his cultivation. Its secret patterns had significantly aided his progress on the path of creation and destruction. So even if he left the source world, he had no intention of bringing the Star Tower out. Left within the origin continent, no one could take it. Have any cultivators exchanged for treasures above 100,000 reward points? Luo Feng asked. Not on our origin continent, Di Qing said, but in other source worlds, yes. Senior Yuan left infinite space in many source worlds. Outside, it's publicly accepted that 100,000 reward points is a dividing line. Items that reach that threshold are incredibly precious, capable of helping one escape the cage. Unfortunately, reaching 100,000 points is extremely difficult. Luo Feng agreed. It was hard indeed. His breakthrough in spiritual will had earned him 100,000 reward points, but he couldn't pour everything into a single exchange. The special perfect inheritances in the infinite space treasury were also tempting. The scarcity of a secret treasure worth at least 100,000 reward points was easy to imagine. Chapter 254, Common Currency. Even a secret treasure worth tens of thousands of reward points is pretty good, Di Qing said with a smile. By the way, Are the secret treasures Emperor Yuan left behind hard to sell? They were, Luo Feng admitted, waving his hand. 3 items, a red cloak, combat boots, and gloves, appeared. We barely managed to sell 2 of the 5, he said. Diqing eyed the 3 ordinary treasures. 3 secret treasures at God Emperor early stage, rank. How about this? Yanfeng Ancient Kingdom will buy them back. Let's make it an even deal, 10,000 Hunyuan crystals. 1 Hunyuan crystal, when exchanged by guest officials of the 2 great ancient kingdoms, cost 1 million merit points. 10,000 Hunyuan crystals equaled 10 billion merit points. That was an enormous sum, merit that even ordinary God King's Second Realm cultivators could only envy, and an amount even emperors and monarchs would find extremely difficult to amass. All right, Luo Feng said with a smile. Whoosh! Diqing waved, and a pile of shimmering Hunyuan crystals floated beside them. Luo Feng's eyes lit up. Each crystal was fingertip-sized, smooth and round, giving off an aura that made him want to absorb it. Hunyuan crystals are the universal currency outside the source world, Diqing explained. They're refined from the essence of limitless Hunyuan power by origin lives who have leapt out of the cage. Each one is small to suit our transactions. Luo Feng collected the pile with a wave of his hand, but kept 3 in his palm, carefully sensing them. Hunyuan crystals benefit the cultivation of all lives within the cage, Diqing said. Universal currency? Luo Feng murmured, examining the 3 crystals in his hand. Absorbing them helps with cultivation, but you must use them in moderation, Diqing warned. For someone at God Emperor early stage strength, don't absorb more than 100 crystals per epoch. If you take too many, the effect will gradually weaken, even disappear. Each cultivator's physique and soul strength differ, so the optimal amount varies. You'll need to explore it slowly as you cultivate. In short, once you feel the effect diminishing, immediately reduce the dosage. Keep it low and steady, and Hunyuan crystals will remain effective and usable until you leap out of the cage. Luo Feng praised the treasure. Hunyuan crystals could be used even by ordinary guest officials of the 2 great ancient kingdoms, and by emperors. It truly was a widely adaptable treasure. Galaxy Old Brother, when your secret technique is complete and all preparations are ready, inform me at any time, Diqing said, handing Luo Feng a token. Crush this token, and I will sense it immediately. Other emperors of Yanfeng Ancient Kingdom had only ordinary communication tokens to reach Diqing, and Diqing often ignored them while in seclusion. But he would always sense Luo Feng's token. All right, once I'm fully prepared to leave the origin continent, I'll inform you, Luo Feng agreed. Diqing smiled, nodded, and departed. At Yanfeng Ancient Kingdom's Qingdu, the main palace had already gathered Emperor Consort, Yanfeng, Diju Feng, Dai Chu, and a total of 11 emperors, either their true bodies or avatars. Dai Qing and Galaxy Lord fought, and Galaxy Lord released a 9-story tower. It seemed to defeat Dai Qing. The gathered emperors were alarmed. Yanfeng's greatest pride lay in Yanfeng Ancient Kingdom ancestor and Dai Qing. On the origin continent, under its power limits, the gap between Dai Qing and the ancient ancestor had never been so large. Dai Qing appeared on the throne in the main hall. The 11 emperors looked to him expectantly. Dai Qing frowned, shook his head, and said, Galaxy Lord is extremely powerful. He even possesses an extremely potent secret treasure. With that tower-like treasure, I couldn't defeat him. The 11 emperors were stunned. Dai Qing couldn't defeat him? The origin continent's power limits mean that even an ancestor-level cultivator must rely on a powerful secret treasure to gain any advantage over Galaxy Lord, Diqing continued. Even then, they still wouldn't be able to harm him. This Galaxy Lord's foundation is already established, Diqing said with a slight shake of his head, then vanished. Only the 11 emperors remained, sharing uneasy looks. Even an ancestor-level cultivator with a secret treasure can't harm this Galaxy Lord? Yanfeng felt a chill. Emperor Consort sighed. We emperors are helpless against Thunder Ancient Country Ancestor and East Extremity Domain Ancestor. Now there's another Galaxy Lord. It seems the grudge against Emperor Yuan can only be borne for now, Emperor Kong muttered. Emperor Kong, stop gloating, Yanfeng snapped. Emperor Kong only chuckled, bowed, and left. Diju Feng, and the others followed one by one. Emperor Consort, however, grew troubled. This Galaxy Lord is so powerful. With that treasure, he can even suppress Diqing. Could he really be Luo He? His confidence wavered. Would someone so strong leave the origin continent for him? Companions choose each other, surely, but the other party must also regard him highly. With such a disparity, Galaxy Lord might not even notice Emperor Consort. Cultivation depends on oneself. I must become strong enough, he thought. His formations were profound, a thin sheet of paper from the ultimate realm, but he couldn't break through. He was distressed. News spread among the origin continent's cultivators. Di Qing finally made his move to avenge Emperor Yuan. Di Qing and Galaxy Lord's strength, terrifying. Di Qing lost? That 9-story tower defeated Di Qing? Anyone with insight could see Di Qing had been beaten a step. Unthinkable, because the consensus was Di Qing was invincible unless the two nations' forefathers intervened. This time, the Galaxy Lord and the 9-story tower had truly suppressed him. Thunder Ancient Country's monarchs were more panicked than Yanfeng's emperors. Besides the ancestor, we have no one above God King. We must be even more careful. Zuo Shanke, watching the recorded images from the Thunder Merchant Guild, clearly saw the whole battle and the Star Tower's appearance at the end. Star Tower? A God King First Realm secret treasure could defeat Di Qing? He thought. When he had refined that Star Tower, a golden light had merged into it in a way he couldn't explain. He had been meticulous in refining, careful of materials and formations, but that golden light ignored his precautions and merged, causing the Star Tower to take shape quickly. From his perspective, it had been a God King First Realm treasure. He simply couldn't perceive its true nature. The Star Tower's recognition of a master was far more difficult than Zuo Shanke had expected. Only Luo Feng, at the brink of life and death, had won its acknowledgement. A good treasure needs a suitable owner, Zuo Shanke thought, feeling both astonished and happy for his disciple. As the refiner and a God King First Realm existence, he hadn't even seen the Star Tower's deepest mysteries, yet his disciple had made it shine. After avenging the blood feud, Zuo Shank's heart felt calm. What mattered most now was Luo Feng. He was pleased his disciple could stand out. The little one who had come out of Earth had, without realizing it, already reached the pinnacle of the origin continent. Huyang City, City Lord's mansion, in a quiet chamber. Luo Feng cultivated in seclusion. Morosa handled most affairs of Galaxy God Country. Of course, Luo Feng could reach the country with a thought in critical moments. That sparring session, Di Qing deliberately held back to help me, Luo Feng realized. Di Qing had used only one formation, the 3,000 killing array, from beginning to end, without unleashing other desperate means or secret treasures. An existence above God King, who had wandered beyond the source world for years, surely had other tricks and treasures, but he hadn't employed them. In the origin continent's power-limited environment, Di Qing's realm had still been higher. Within the origin continent, with power limited, Di Qing and the two nations' forefathers, even if one gains the upper hand, they can't truly harm the other. But outside the origin continent, the disparity would be massive. Luo Feng knew his current invincibility came from the origin continent's supreme rule. I must cultivate well. At least, I must reach the ultimate realm. He flicked his hand and produced a Hunyuan crystal, fingertip-sized and smooth like polished jade. Luo Feng swallowed it whole. The crystal began to be slowly absorbed. Hunyuan crystal is the essence of Hunyuan power, he thought. As long as one hadn't become an origin life, it was generally beneficial. The crystal nourished his physical body and soul, sped his thought processes several times over, and sharpened his comprehension. It even strengthened his physical body and bolstered his powerful soul. Theoretically, infinite Hunyuan crystals and infinite time could raise body and soul to terrifying levels, but the amount one could consume per epoch was limited. Overconsumption would diminish or nullify the effects. Generally, the higher the life level, the weaker the nourishing effect of such treasures, but Hunyuan crystals could remain continuously useful if taken properly. Luo Feng closed his eyes and focused on comprehending the 3 types of ultimate realm Hunyuan bloodline biological materials he had obtained. Time flowed on. Since the sparring with Di Qing, no one on the origin continent dared challenge Galaxy God Country again. Galaxy Lord had already placed himself on par with the two nations' forefathers, East Extremity Domain Ancestor and Di Qing. His zeal for eradicating evil made ancient existences across the origin continent more cautious. At least for now, the devouring of billions of lives had stopped. 300 epochs had passed since Galaxy God Country was founded. On this day, an inconspicuous event occurred. The Tao River sect's Elder Yuan broke through and became a God King. Chapter 255, God King. Origin Ancestor. On a small upper floor of a tavern in Huyang City, Hong sat alone, savoring fine wine and a simple meal. He watched through the window as cultivators guided a steady stream of flying treasure crafts past the city. Only after arriving on Origin Continent had he realized how many people were far beyond him, how small he truly was. Back in the primordial universe region, not counting Origin Ancestor and the Great Axe, Hong had been the human race's 23rd true god, and he had even become a true god a little faster than Luo Feng. Luo Feng had lingered at the Universe Lord stage for a long time to refine a higher divine body, ultimately achieving the perfect divine body. Still, Hong's talent had been dazzling among humans. Many elders who had reached true god earlier had simply cultivated for far longer. Excluding Luo Feng and Origin Ancestor, 11 members of our race have braved reincarnation to reach Origin Continent, Hong mused. He had only recently arrived, and everything here felt new. The bustling streets of Huyang City, the unfamiliar life forms, the myriad schools of thought. There was so much to explore. He thought about the ranks above True God, Void True God, Eternal True God, Chaos Master, God King, and how God King subdivided into 3 realms. The emperors and monarchs of the 2 great ancient kingdoms could be comparable to the God King ultimate realm. Above even that were figures like the 2 nations' forefathers, the East Extremity Domain Ancestor, Di Qing, and Galaxy Lord. A thrill passed through him. Many on Origin Continent didn't know, but Hong, Peng Gong, the primordial Chaos City Lord, Origin Ancestor, and a few others did. Galaxy Lord was Luo Feng. In their homeland, Luo Feng had been called the Galaxy Ancestor. Third brother, you've already reached that height? Hong thought, astonished. Luo Feng had been invincible across the universe sea, even as a universe lord, and as a true god, he had resolved the world beast calamity. In the brutal cultivation environment of the universe sea, Luo Feng had become an eternal true god, and upon arriving here, had soared even higher. Hong remembered Luo Feng's slow, steady rise. Back then, Hong had been the chief curator of the Dojo of Limits, and Luo Feng had been a naive martial artist. Later, step by step, Luo Feng had grown strong enough to aid Hong and Thunder God. Hong believed that without Luo Feng's help, Origin Ancestor might never have been released. Among all humans, perhaps only the primordial Chaos City Lord might have had even a slim chance of braving reincarnation alone. On Origin Continent, talent was everywhere. Born geniuses of the continent, prodigies nurtured in countless small universes, and those who had reincarnated from 3,000 primordial universes. Compared to them, Hong felt ordinary. Even those human cultivators who had managed to reincarnate here had been given top-grade resources by Luo Feng. Their paths went more smoothly. For Hong, Peng Gong, Dark, and the others, the climb to even eternal true God was far from guaranteed. A message blinked in his mind. Hong read it, and his face brightened. Origin Ancestor had become a God King. He rose and left the tavern. The attendant outside the estate greeted him with the utmost respect. In Huyang City, Hong's strength meant little, but as a core disciple of the Tao River sect, even merchants dared not be discourteous. He paid his bill and boarded his flying boat for the Tao River sect headquarters. At Origin Ancestor's cave mansion, the human powerhouses were arriving steadily. Hong exchanged greetings with those he knew, Long Xing, Peng Gong, and the red-haired Huo Qiong, who had been Luo Feng's second disciple in the primordial universe region and one of his most gifted students. Huo Qiong had been a void true god, and despite his seniority to some, he remained a mere core disciple. His rank made it hard for others to see him as anything more. As they chatted, 3 figures entered together, Origin Ancestor, Morosa, and Luo Feng. The room fell silent. Whispers ran through the gathered humans. Galaxy Lord commanded an ultimate realm world beast as an old servant. That must be Elder Luo Sa. Luo Feng had been in seclusion lately and rarely received guests. Yet here he was, personally welcoming them. Origin Ancestor smiled as he addressed his guests. After 800 epochs on Origin Continent, I've finally advanced to God King. I owe a great deal to Luo Feng. Luo Feng shook his head with a small smile. Resources alone don't make a God King. Talent and comprehension matter most. Of the 11 human powerhouses who had come afterward, only the primordial Chaos City Lord had reached eternal true God. The rest were void true gods. The gap in potential was obvious. Even the first realm of God King was difficult for me, Origin Ancestor admitted. My path was full of confusions. He looked over his fellows. Formally, you are all of my lineage. Now that I'm a God King, I can arrange official posts for you within the Tao River sect. That will help remove any objections. He went on to advise them that cultivation was not just secluded meditation. Taking on responsibilities, handling affairs, and interacting with other powerhouses could all aid one's progress. The assembly was pleased. Luo Feng's gaze lingered on Huo Cheng. Huo Cheng, you've been here over 100 epochs. How goes your cultivation? I still lack the accumulation to become an eternal true god, Huo Cheng replied respectfully. Cultivate with focus, Luo Feng said. Only when you reach eternal true God can I publicly accept you as a registered disciple, and only at Chaos Realm can I accept you as a personal disciple. It would be harmful to thrust titles on him too early, Luo Feng believed. As a core disciple, Huo Cheng already lacked for nothing in resources, and Luo Feng would personally guide him. Origin Ancestor added his encouragement. If anyone has confusions, speak up. Luo Feng, Elder Luo Sa, and I will guide you. The human powerhouses bombarded them with questions. Origin Ancestor, Luo Feng, and Morosa answered each according to their strengths. Most questions were at the void true god or eternal true god levels, and the differences between the three mentors became apparent. Luo Feng's fundamentals were the most solid. His unique inheritances had allowed him to forge high-level techniques from lower realms and gain a profound understanding of the basics. When the crowd finally dispersed, only Luo Feng and Origin Ancestor remained. Listening to your explanations cleared up a lot for me, Origin Ancestor said with gratitude. In fundamentals, I'm not on your level. In infinite space, I happen to obtain several special inheritances, Luo Feng replied. They helped me build a solid foundation. He reached into his sleeve and produced a silver token. I have something for you. Origin Ancestor's eyes brightened. Luo Feng handed him the token. This is a token to the Treasure Land Infinite Space, Luo Feng explained. It was found recently within my Galaxy God Country territory. Tokens to infinite space appeared randomly across Origin Continent. Powerful territories had better chances of finding them. Infinite space emphasized mind and will and the pioneering of great paths. Origin Ancestor cultivated the paths of reality and illusion. The real world had the world origin great path as a precise reference, but the illusory path lacked such a clear branch. Few treasure lands could offer inheritances to help with that. Infinite space might. You've done too much for me, Origin Ancestor said, visibly moved. For cultivation of the human race, my energy is limited. Luo Feng said, often I rely on your effort as well. The stronger you become, the better it is for all of us. Luo Feng projected a holographic map of infinite space from the token, marking his current location. This map shows where I am. When you go in, you can catch up to me quickly. He added that the native creatures of infinite space were being fought over by many forces. His mind and will had already enveloped 12 native creatures, which he could transfer to Origin Ancestor. Origin Ancestor took the token and, with a thought, sent a wisp of his consciousness through it into infinite space. Luo Feng watched with anticipation. He believed that someone who pursued the illusory path would likely excel in mind and will within infinite space and could pioneer new branches there. He had done all he could to help. A cultivator's ultimate success still depended on their own efforts. Chapter 256. The Ancestors of the Two Nations Awaken Origin Continent, the Holy Land of the Thunder Ancient Country, Thunder Mountain. Inside Thunder Mountain lay many hidden world clusters. In one vast inner world, a figure lay motionless on an endless grassland. The grass withered and flourished in cycles, but the figure remained untouched by a single speck of dust. After an unknown interval, he finally opened his eyes. He was the Thunder Forefather. Personally dissecting the corpse of a high-level origin life and extracting materials from it, the Thunder Forefather murmured, eyes bright with excitement. The gains this time are enormous. Senior Yuan and the others must be desperate to allow us to acquire high-level origin life corpses. Low-level Hunyuan lives, the Thunder Forefather and the Yan Feng Forefather, all of them qualified to hunt. But a high-level origin life was a different order entirely. One stomp could crush hundreds of millions of low-level Hunyuan lives. A single breath could reduce them to ash. Cultivators who hadn't escaped the cage, even with the protection of a source world avatar, could have their souls corrupted and perish when facing such a being. Senior Yuan and the others actually brought out high-level origin life corpses for their juniors. Thunder Forefather thought, if that's true, the rumors must be true. The Beidou world cluster should have been completely lost. Our cultivator camp has been defeated. The Beidou world cluster had been painstakingly nurtured to produce cultivators, a world Senior Yuan and other elders had created at great cost. Rumor said the Eternal Origin Life Camp had set its sights on Beidou, devouring cultivators and entire worlds. They attacked in overwhelming numbers. Senior Yuan and others had mobilized a defense, but in the end, the cultivator camp lost. At first, the Thunder Forefather and Yanfeng had doubted the gossip, but recently Senior Yuan had provided more resources to the God Emperors, a tacit confirmation. I hope those skyborn mixed source lives never reach the origin continent, he worried. In clashes between the two great camps, the skyborn mixed source lives held the advantage. Their numbers were vast. They didn't mind losses. But the cultivator camp had too few who had escaped the cage. In a war of attrition, they could not afford to bleed. The Thunder Forefather left his secluded world and manifested on Thunder Mountain. As soon as he appeared, the Lord's reports reached him. During my seclusion, a Galaxy Lord appeared on the Origin Continent. He fought Di Qing and, using a 9-story pagoda secret treasure, actually gained the upper hand. Thunder Mountain's ancient hall. 9 lords knelt respectfully before the Forefather. He sat high on his throne, looking down at them. He and these lords were separated by many Source World eras. There was no affection, only utility. He and Yan Feng cultivated clansmen to occupy valuable lands and gather resources. Even a modest grant, a God King level resource or an early-stage God Emperor secret treasure, could give a clansman an absolute advantage on the Origin Continent, indebting them and making them obedient. Forefather. The lords looked anxious. Report, the Thunder Forefather said. This Galaxy Lord acts arrogantly. He dares to slay royal families who have committed grave offenses. Emperor Yuan was even killed by him, one lord reported, eyes wide. He possesses strength beyond God King level. On the Origin Continent, even if I could suppress him, I could not harm him. Strength determines order, the Thunder Forefather replied coldly. If you commit grave sins and are slain by that Galaxy Lord, I can do nothing. Be more cautious in your actions. A golden-robed lord could not hold his impatience. Are we just going to endure forever? He demanded. His voice trembled before the Forefather's gaze. He immediately realized his mistake. The Forefather's commands were to be followed, not debated. This golden-robed lord had once, through the Black Vulture Old Ancestor, harvested billions of lives. He had grown impatient. Feng Xing, the Thunder Forefather intoned, go to Feng Valley in the Sky Pillar world. Either obtain a secret treasure from Feng Valley to atone for your sins or die there. Feng Xing's heart froze. None of the other 8 lords dared to intercede. They were merely subordinates, tools to be cultivated and discarded with the ebb of eras. In the early part of an era, they might be treasured. Toward the end, their value waned. As long as an existence beyond God King level appears on the Origin Continent, you must respect him, the Thunder Forefather continued. Within the Origin Continent, they are invincible. You need not worry, he added. Thunder Mountain is absolutely safe in the Origin Continent's environment. No one can hope to kill their way into Thunder Mountain. The lords understood. The Forefather could not act against the Galaxy Lord, but neither could that Galaxy Lord act presumptuously within Thunder Mountain's reaches. During my seclusion, were there any gains? He asked. Reporting to Forefather, 1 portion of Heartlight Haze was obtained, Lord Lei Xiao replied, presenting the treasure. The Thunder Forefather nodded. As an era wanes, treasures grow scarce. He examined the liquid-like Heartlight Haze and allowed himself a satisfied nod. "You may withdraw," he said, and the lords retreated with due respect. Yan Feng. With a thought, he contacted his old friend, Yan Feng Forefather. As the Thunder Forefather emerged from seclusion, so did Yan Feng. "Yan Feng, you know about the Galaxy Lord?" the Thunder Forefather asked. "What will you do?" "Outside the Source World, this Galaxy Lord might be naive, but on the Origin Continent, neither of us can touch him." Yan Feng chuckled. "What can I do? I can only endure. Shall we go meet this young fellow and give him a warning? He will leave the Source World eventually and will need our help sooner or later." They had cultivated across many eras and had vast networks. The Thunder Forefather had reached the late stage of God Emperor and now pursued the final step of ultimate bloodline awakening to escape the cage. Yan Feng was also a late-stage God Emperor and a Dao comprehension, almost the Thunder Forefather's equal. Among cultivators, Dao comprehension lineages were especially respected. "After all, he's from the same source world. There's no need to warn him," Yan Feng said. "Besides, if the Galaxy Lord is pushed too far and truly goes mad, the Origin Continent's order will collapse." The Thunder Forefather agreed. Under the Origin Continent's supreme restrictions, anyone above God King was effectively unpoliced. The two nations' forefathers had to act with caution. The East Extremity Domain Ancestor might concede to them, but the Galaxy Lord might not. "Forget it. I won't see him," the Thunder Forefather decided. "As a junior, when he leaves the Source World, he won't interact much with us. Keeping our distance is best for both sides." Yan Feng had no intention of meeting Luo Feng either. Distance ensured calm handling of affairs. "How were the gains from dissecting the high-level Origin life corpse?" Thunder Forefather asked. "Do you have confidence of reaching late-stage God Emperor?" "The gains are huge," Yan Feng replied, his voice bright with anticipation. "A high-level Origin life is far more complex than a low-level Hunyuan life. I will study this harvest thoroughly, and I believe I'll make real breakthroughs." "You always make progress, yet you still haven't reached late stage," Thunder Forefather said. "Opening a path through the dark to the half-primordial Origin level is not easy." Yan Feng laughed. "One must have patience." The half-primordial Origin level corresponded to God Emperor late stage. A Dao comprehension who advanced from half-primordial to primordial Origin would grasp the Hunyuan Dao, a leap to the top, becoming one of the most powerful Origin lives. Senior Yuan and other elders hoped to see such a cultivator emerge. "I have patience," Yan Feng said, "but I worry time won't be enough. The Eternal Origin life camp is too powerful. If the Skyborn mixed source lives invade the Origin continent and the continent falls, we fall with it." "That is fate," Yan Feng replied quietly. "Worrying won't change it." On Thunder Mountain, two lords spoke in low voices. "The Forefather tacitly accepted the Galaxy Lord's actions," one said. He also said, "No one can kill their way into Thunder Mountain. If we hide inside and keep our true bodies safe, we can send subordinates to harvest living beings." The Origin continent is entering its late stage. One day we'll have to leave and seek fortunes elsewhere, so we must capture more living beings now to nurture our Hunyuan bloodlines. "You have avatars, but I don't," the other murmured. "You hide your true body in Thunder Mountain and send puppets outside. What's the difference?" They had endured 300 epochs, once hoping the Thunder Forefather would lead. Now, with his stance clear, they had one option left. They began secret preparations, quietly capturing large numbers of living beings to fatten their stocks. Elsewhere, Di Qing warned Luo Feng. "Galaxy Old Brother, the two nations' forefathers have emerged from seclusion. Be cautious. Yan Feng acts free, but Thunder Forefather is domineering even without direct Hunyuan bloodline effects." "I understand." Luo Feng acknowledged the warning. His true body sat inside the Star Tower, meticulously studying its secret patterns. In the 300 epochs since founding the Galaxy God Country, he'd relied on the rare treasure Hunyuan crystal. It bolstered his soul strength and will to be comparable to an early-stage God Emperor, though his physical body remained weaker. Per epoch, Luo Feng could optimally consume up to 33 Hunyuan crystals. The effect beyond that increased only negligibly. If he took more than 40, the benefit would rapidly diminish. The 10,000 Hunyuan crystals he had acquired by selling 3 secret treasures to Emperor Yuan had been used up. He had also sold ordinary rare treasures from the Dream Domain to the 2 great ancient kingdoms in exchange for 2,000 more Hunyuan crystals. Long-term consumption of Hunyuan crystals is painfully expensive, Luo Feng thought. He already felt the cost at 33 per epoch, and as his strength grew, consumption would only rise. Still, the Hunyuan crystals were extraordinarily effective, cost-effective as auxiliary treasures, and he had no better substitute. Chapter 257, The Second Realm of the Great Tao of Birth and Death. Luo Feng delved deeper into the Star Tower's secret patterns. Countless sigils spiraled inward, and as he peered into their core, even time seemed to slow. Farther in, the patterns flared with color until they ended in scarlet scales edged with 12 hues. Those scales felt like the supreme law itself, immutable, indestructible, eternally undying. The core of the Star Tower's patterns is the density, solidity, and eternal undying of life, Luo Feng murmured. He had observed it so often that staring directly at the scarlet scales began to contaminate his spirit and will. He pulled back and circulated his power. A phantom tower rose, shaped like a triangular pyramid, its surface flowing with secret patterns. Then, without warning, the phantom collapsed. Luo Feng sighed. He understood why forging an 8-branch fusion secret art could be maddening. For an ordinary God-King Second Realm cultivator, creating peak-level moves at that tier was not too difficult. But once one pursued Ultimate Realm secret arts, difficulty rocketed. Emperors and monarchs like Guishu, Wu Xin, the emperors of the Yanfeng ancient kingdom, and the monarchs of Thunder had spent countless years and produced only a few ultimate-level techniques. The same applied here. Luo Feng had already perfected 9 secret arts at the 8-branch fusion level: the Great Extinction Style, Skylight Silver Shuttle, Blacklight Evasion Technique, Blood Drop, Cage, and others, but he could not produce a single 9-branch fusion move. The 9-branch fusions of the Life and Destruction Great Path were the ultimate realm techniques for that great path. Their difficulty far exceeded the 8-branch works. On the other hand, because he had clear Great Path reference for life and for destruction, and because he had the Destruction Scale and the Lotus Heart Seed, creating ultimate realm techniques for each separate path felt less daunting. Pure life or pure destruction is manageable, he thought, but fusing life and destruction into a single 9-branch technique, that's another matter entirely. Luo Feng tried again, molding a phantom star tower with his own power as a defensive kernel. He wondered why his tower took the form of a triangular pyramid instead of a 9-story edifice. He knew he was still far from true fusion. Even a real 9-branch fusion would be only part of the star tower's truth. So he calmed his mind and continued cultivating, scrutinizing the secret patterns day after day. Then, after a long period of comprehension and accumulation, a qualitative change occurred. In Luo Feng's mind, 4 branches of the Life and Destruction Great Path, the Skylight Branch, the Blood Drop Branch, the Deputy Palace Master Xingzhe Branch, and the Undying Branch, merged perfectly into one, without confusion or resistance. The Life and Destruction Great Path had taken its next step. It entered the God King Second Realm. From that moment, Luo Feng's cultivation level in the Life Path, the Destruction Path, and their fused Creation and Destruction Path all reached the God King Second Realm. The Life and Destruction sides had felt easier because he had already produced several Ultimate Realm secret arts for them. He laughed softly at his own progress. 9 8-branch fusions, and finally the Life and Destruction Great Path steps into the God King Second Realm. Without a clear Great Path reference, the accumulation truly had to be greater. He wondered what reward the infinite space might grant. Infinite space prized spirit, will, and openings in the Great Path. Luo Feng sat cross-legged on an island in the middle of a misty lake. There were no spiritual beings here, only a clone of himself as a safeguard, and projected the mysteries of his Great Path. A wisp of his power detached, traced a path through space, cut through multiple layers, and even carved black cracks in the infinite space's fundamental membrane. That wisp condensed into a drop of blood, then into a star rolling between heaven and earth, then into a dark abyss that devoured all around it, and finally collapsed into a single speck of light. From that speck, a terrifying domain radiated outward. In a single simple demonstration, Luo Feng had freely displayed the many mysteries of the 4 branches: Skylight, Blood Drop, Deputy Palace Master Xingzhe, and Undying, the way they fused and transformed when comprehended. Om. A message imprinted in his palm. Trial Taker, Luo Feng of Origin Continent. Based on the great Tao of life and the great path of destruction, you have opened a new great path. Evaluation of the new great path, special. Reward points, 100,000. On the new great path, you have finally taken the second step. You still need to work hard to completely master this great path. Before mastering a complete great path, your spirit and will successfully broke through the God King level. Evaluation of spirit and will, special. Reward points, 100,000. Your spirit and will are extremely excellent. Perhaps you can go a step further? Reminder, killing any spiritual being is prohibited. Violators will be permanently expelled from the infinite space. Total reward points, 1,84193.03. Luo Feng read it over and felt his heart thrill. Opening a new great path and reaching the God King's second realm had earned him 100,000 points, and his spirit and will breakthrough had earned another 100,000. 200,000 points was a staggering windfall. He'd been cautious with points while in the infinite space. Major expenditures had gone to the Lotus Heart Seed and the Destruction Scale, and exchanges for God King First and Second Realm inheritances. He had not dared to splurge on the most expensive inheritances yet. I can't kill spiritual beings here, he reminded himself, so my only source of more points is continuing to open great paths and advancing my spirit and will. The message hinted that completely mastering the life and destruction great path should bring further reward, but Luo Feng also knew the truth. Great paths such as time, space, life, limitless, and destruction belonged to the supreme rules. Even so, in recent Origin Continent history, only Di Qing and the Lord of Myriad Worlds had comprehended a complete great path unaided. The life and destruction great path had no external reference. To grasp it completely would be astronomically difficult. Without guidance, one probably needed to comprehend at least 10 Ultimate Realm secret arts to have a realistic shot at mastering such a great path. He wondered what, a step further, in spirit and will meant his spirit and will had been rated special at the God King level before mastering the great path. But he set that question aside and opened the infinite space treasure trove. Huh? Luo Feng frowned. The perfect level inheritance's God King Ultimate Realm chapter still wasn't visible. Typically, the God King Second Realm chapter required 10,000 points, but the Ultimate Realm chapter of a perfect level inheritance was far pricier, usually 20 times that. Even with his new evaluations of special, he still couldn't view the Ultimate Realm chapter. What kind of genius is qualified to learn a perfect level inheritance's Ultimate Realm chapter? He muttered. With formless and faceless and the Ultimate Realm Hongyuan bloodline transformations available on the Origin Continent, those were the limits of his transformations if he didn't cultivate the material origin great path. There was no need to spend on the Ultimate Realm chapter of World Lifeform. He scanned the treasure listings carefully. Di Qing had told him that treasures costing 100,000 points and above were crucial for breaking free from the cage, and they were highly sought after by cultivators from outside. The top-ranked treasure, a sword forged from the corpse matter of a Hunyuan ancestor, cost 180,000 points. It suited cultivators of the Thunder Path, the Great Path of Destruction, and the Material Path, and offered hope of breaking the cage. Warning: this treasure must be comprehended within the source world and cannot be taken out, or endless trouble will follow. The second-ranked item, the Space-Time Mirror, also cost 180,000 points. It had been refined from rare treasures gathered across the Hunyuan space. With it, one could retain memories and reincarnate into any source world without being rejected by that world's supreme rule. Training under different supreme rules greatly aided cultivation. Reminder: time path and space path cultivators would benefit most. Other paths would gain less. This mirror must not be taken out of the source world. Luo Feng's jaw tightened. Even with 2 special evaluations, exchanging for one of those treasures would nearly empty his points. Senior Yuan's arrangement made clear that even a prodigy could usually only exchange for one such treasure. You have to be truly exceptional to not waste such a treasure, he thought. He kept scrolling. Then he found it. The 34th ranked treasure, the Eye of Creation and Destruction. priced at 120,000 reward points. It was an eye forged from the intact corpse of a world-level Hunyuan life, a life and destruction eye beast. With it, one could peer into the vitality of all things and detect their destruction weaknesses. It was suited to cultivators of the great Tao of life and the great path of destruction, and it aided comprehension of life and destruction mysteries, an asset for breaking the cage. Reminder: this treasure must not be taken out of the source world. What a treasure, Luo Feng breathed. His heart burned. Many high-ranked treasures favored either destruction or life, but the Eye of Creation and Destruction was perfectly suited for both. Chapter 258, Eye of Birth and Death. Luo Feng finished examining the treasures one by one. Besides the Eye of Creation and Destruction, there was another item suitable for both the Great Tao of Life and the Great Tao of Destruction, a secret treasure called the Undying Heart. It cost 43,000 reward points to exchange. The Undying Heart's properties were clear: indestructible, infinite vitality, able to augment the physical body and condense an immensely powerful battle form. It was ideal for cultivators who followed either life or destruction. Within the entire infinite space treasure trove, these were the only two treasures that fit both paths. Many secret treasures in the trove had conceptual abilities. Dai Qing and the others had guessed that these items were likely refined from the remains of origin lifeforms who had transcended the cage. The trove's notes confirmed it. Treasures above 100,000 reward points all aided in transcending the cage, and 2/3 of those treasures could not be taken out of the source world. Luo Feng read those messages carefully. The most powerful treasures, those refined from the corpses of Hunyuan ancestors and world-level Hunyuan beings, could not be removed from their origin. It was obvious Senior Yuan and the others genuinely hoped their descendants would eventually transcend the cage. The infinite space screen selected dazzling geniuses from the source world, those with strong spiritual will or the capacity to open great paths, and bestowed inheritances and treasures on them. Senior Yuan and the others gained no direct profit from that. Perhaps their only reward was that more of their descendants might one day transcend the cage. Luo Feng had only a little over 180,000 reward points in total. He needed to reserve some for future inheritance exchanges, so his choices were limited. He considered the possibilities carefully. He couldn't be sure whether he would receive more reward points for spiritual will later, but for the life and destruction great path, if he could master the complete great path, there would presumably be points to earn. Mastering the complete life and destruction great path would be incredibly difficult, but it was still far easier than transcending the cage. If he couldn't even master the life and destruction path, there was no point in thinking further ahead. He made his choice: exchange for the Eye of Creation and Destruction. A reminder popped up. After exchange, the trial taker could use the eye permanently, but upon the trial taker's complete death, the eye would automatically return to the infinite space. A confirmation followed. Luo Feng hesitated only a moment. If he truly died and his descendants lacked the talent to wield such a treasure, reclaiming it made sense. He confirmed the exchange. Exchange successful, the system announced. Trial taker Luo Feng, you are reminded this is the 13th exchange of the Eye of Creation and Destruction. Among the previous 12 exchangers, one transcended the cage to become a high-level origin life, but ultimately still fell in battle. Luo Feng's heart stirred. He had become the 13th exchanger. He was still in Huyang City, at the City Lord's mansion, in a quiet room within the Star Tower space. A ripple passed through the spatial obstruction, and with a faint sound, an enormous eye appeared. Even after being refined and reduced, it was vastly larger than a world life form. 90% of the eye was a deep, inky black. Only the central area was a dazzling golden light, its source a faint lattice of golden secret patterns. Along with the eye, detailed information about it arrived. The original world-level Hunyuan life had been the creation and destruction eye beast, a single massive eye, 1,000th the size of a normal source world. Its corpse had been refined into this treasure. After refinement, a god-emperor-level spiritual will was sufficient to control it. Luo Feng extended a wisp of consciousness and touched the eye. The moment he made contact, boom, he was plunged into a vision. He saw the colossal, majestic eye-shaped being. When it looked upon him, he felt stripped of secrets, as though everything were laid bare. His spiritual will permeated deeper, probing the core of the eye of creation and destruction. Inside were countless secret patterns, divided into two series, one for life, one for destruction. Both sets were immense yet intertwined, cooperating in mysterious ways and ultimately converging into the eye's original form. Life and destruction were not fused here, they worked in concert. Luo Feng admired the design. It suited him perfectly. He sought fusion of the two paths himself, but studying how this treasure made them cooperate still promised huge gains. From the internal structure, the Eye of Creation and Destruction was a whole tier less profound than the Star Tower. The difference was obvious, like a star compared to the sun. But even as a star, its depth was oceanic. After all, it had been refined from a complete world-level Hunyuan life. Mastery would still present countless obstacles. When Luo Feng fully imprinted his spiritual will on the eye's core, the treasure recognized him. The immense eye contracted rapidly and flew toward him, settling into his glabella. As a being born on Earth, Luo Feng habitually placed this sort of sight at the center of his brows, his third eye. The Eye of Creation and Destruction opened. Most of it remained black, but the pupil burned with that golden light. Under Luo Feng's control, the Star Tower's walls posed no obstruction. The eye pierced everything. He saw outward instantly. The first sight was Huyang City, billions of lives moving beneath. His gaze swept over them. He saw their lives entirely. Physical bodies, souls, basic life composition. Nothing was hidden. Only ultimate realm world beasts presented some resistance. Morosa, Luo Feng noted. The ultimate realm world beast hid slightly within the city. Its great path was complete, and Luo Feng could not read all of Morosa's secrets. Still, beneath the eye he glimpsed the realm inside Morosa's body, a complete great path of destruction in operation, essentially a realm. It paralleled how the primordial universe's essence was a complete great Tao of life. At its peak, the realm within Morosa was comparable in scope to the primordial universe. Morosa's greatest strength, then, was this realm essence. If he could deploy that inner realm more deftly, his power could grow further. But that realm was also his weakness. The operation of a realm had structural rules. Target those structural weak points, and the realm could collapse. The annihilation of the realm would mean Morosa's total annihilation. From the fragments he observed, Luo Feng already pinpointed at least 7 weak points in the realm's operation. He was confident that, given the opportunity, he could collapse that operating system in an instant. The eye could see the strongest aspects of life and their fatal flaws. He widened his gaze beyond Huyang City. The eye penetrated formations, hidden spaces, even the protections of the origin continent's mightiest. The Lord of Shadow Skyworld, God King Puxin, and other enigmatic powerhouses no longer hid. Luo Feng saw the origin bloodline creatures cultivated by the 2 great ancient kingdoms, normally sequestered in independent, sealed spaces. The eye exposed them all. Across the origin continent, there were 9 types of origin bloodline creatures with ultimate realm strength. The weakest had only 3 phases. The strongest reached 12. Luo Feng's eye could pull through many layers of formation and spatial obstruction and reveal their core life compositions. These creatures were low in intellect. Their distinctive feature was their bloodline. Under the eye, their bloodlines were fully exposed. He could see their vitality and their destructive weaknesses. He didn't even need to collect physical samples anymore. Observing them with the Eye of Creation and Destruction was equivalent to holding them in his hand and studying them closely. From their life forms to their matter, he could understand and even imitate them. He also saw the 3 foreign races, the 2 nations' forefathers, and the East Extremity domain ancestor. These God-Emperor-level existences presented a blurrier picture. Their realms were far higher and more mysterious. They wielded complex protective arts. Luo Feng could not perceive the essence of their life composition, only where their vitality concentrated and where potential weaknesses lay. Even if he could pinpoint those weak points, attacking them would not threaten these avatars. Their power exceeded the limits of the origin continent. He continued to explore. The eye let him observe the operation of the origin continent, the workings of the universe C, and the 3,000 dimensions of the primordial universe. Every primordial universe could be viewed up close. He clearly saw the core of the origin continent, the supreme rule formed by the 9 origin great paths. Comprehending that supreme rule required first mastering the 9 origin great paths and then understanding how they interlock to form the rule itself. Only then would the supreme rule be formed. Comprehending the supreme rule equated to transcending the cage and might even lead to the ability to create a new source world. Luo Feng had conjectures, but seeing was not the same as creating. It was like a mortal who could observe the sun and theorize its life cycle. To create a sun was incomparably harder. Observation, however, was the essential first step. The eye of creation and destruction let Luo Feng peer beyond the cage and learn high-level secrets that would otherwise remain hidden. Such an opportunity was precisely what Senior Yuan and the others gave to only the most dazzling geniuses. He blinked his glabella eye, and the gaze pierced the source world's membrane. Beyond it lay the vast, boundless Hunyuan power outside. Although the eye would return to the infinite space upon his death, its value while he lived was enormous. In terms of profundity, it was lower than the Star Tower, but in practical aid to cultivation, it was far more effective. Even so, Luo Feng remembered the system's warning. Among the previous 12 exchangers, each had been a peerless genius, but only one had managed to transcend the cage, and that one eventually fell in battle. The road ahead was harsh. He had seen many treasures in the infinite space ranked above the eye of creation and destruction. Even more valuable items remained out of his reach. Those higher treasures had been sought by numerous historical exchangers, brilliant talents, but how many had truly succeeded in transcending the cage? Very few. Luo Feng closed his glabella and felt the weight of the choice he'd made. The eye had opened a window to a greater world. Now it was up to him to walk through it. Chapter 259, Sorting Out the Knowledge System. Luo Feng sat cross-legged in the Star Tower, the eye of creation and destruction open on his brow. With it, he scanned the origin continent and even the primordial origin currents beyond. With a single glance, I can observe the whole source world and see beyond it. Does this match the observational power of a high-level origin life? He wondered. He understood the limits. Although the eye of creation and destruction had been fashioned from the corpse of a world-level Hunyuan life, the eye of creation and destruction beast, it was still an object in his possession. Its power did not automatically make him a world-level being. From the countless records in the infinite space treasure trove, Luo Feng had pieced together the hierarchy: Hunyuan ancestor, world-level Hunyuan life, high-level origin life, and low-level Hunyuan life, each a vast step down from the one above. A world-level Hunyuan life should be able to observe figures like the two nations' forefathers or the East Extremity Domain ancestor, clearly with no secrets. To grant someone trapped inside the cage even the observational ability of a high-level origin life was already a priceless boon. He turned his attention inward and let the eye peer through the Star Tower itself. The patterns hidden deep inside the tower bloomed into view. As a god-king of the second realm, bearing a god-emperor-level spiritual will, how he had previously seen those patterns was completely different from what the eye now revealed. Luo Feng felt a twinge of awe. The Star Tower's secret patterns existed simultaneously on multiple spatiotemporal levels, like a vast edifice of time and space. At the innermost layer, time itself was frozen. The blood-red scales were fixed at a single point, eternally locked. No matter how long the outside world flowed, those scales stayed as they had at the beginning. From that core, space unfolded outward. As space took form, time began to flow again. These patterns operated across every possible timeline at once. Observing different regions of space generally required an extremely high realm in the origin great path of space. Observing different timelines demanded mastery of the path of time. Yet the eye of creation and destruction showed all of it with ease, catching even very hidden information. In my earlier years, I mastered 9 8-branch fusion techniques, Luo Feng muttered. My vision was too narrow. My techniques still have too many weaknesses. He flung a Hunyuan crystal into his mouth and swallowed it, then set about studying the Star Tower's deep patterns in earnest. The eye only supplied what a high-level origin life might perceive. Analyzing and integrating that information into his own great path required comprehension. That was why Senior Yuan and the others had sifted through geniuses from countless worlds. Resources wasted on insufficient talent served no one. The first 12 exchangers of the Eye had been hailed as highly gifted, yet many of their achievements had been ordinary. For Senior Yuan and his peers, one more world-level Hunyuan life was cause for celebration. Another high-level origin life was hardly notable. Luo Feng had come to the origin continent and in merely 800 epochs, risen to where he stood now. His talent was undoubtedly far greater than many predecessors on the origin continent. On Thunder Mountain, sacred land of the Thunder Ancient Country, the Thunder Ancestor sat alone in ancient space and studied the last of his special life remnants. He had acquired 6 special life fragments from the Deep Dream domain and the depths of the Sky Pillar world over the years and had sold them off one by one. Only one remained, a golden finger bone before him. Over the eras, I cultivated monarchs to help me collect treasures, the Thunder Ancestor mused. All manners of rare objects and secret treasures. They even helped me reach God Emperor realm consummation. He touched the golden bone and let his spiritual consciousness flow through it, reading the thunder secrets within and glimpsing the vague image of a majestic behemoth. Senior Yuan said, "My breakthrough opportunity lies in this finger bone. If I can comprehend even a sliver, I can achieve ultimate awakening." He bit back a bitter laugh. A sliver? He had studied it for countless eras and had nothing but frustration to show for it. Thunder Ancestor had long known his own sluggish comprehension. To reach the ultimate realm had taken him tens of times longer than some others, like the Yan Feng Ancestor. He had been unable to advance by Dao comprehension and had turned to the Hunyuan bloodline instead. Hunyuan cultivation was more straightforward: tap the bloodline potential, accumulate time and resources, seize opportunities, and step by step he had clawed his way to where he was. Still, he knew the gulf that separated him from the truly terrifying existences. Even at God Emperor realm consummation, the semi-primordial origin tier, there were those who could destroy him with a single palm. Within the countless world's powerhouses were beings who had elevated multiple paths to semi-primordial levels, fused different semi-primordial paths, or even tapped the power of a world-level Hunyuan bloodline. Some had broken free of the cage to become high-level origin life. Rumors said a few had even become world-level Hunyuan life. Compared to them, Thunder Ancestor felt like a marginal figure. He calmed his mind and returned to studying the Golden Bone. Elsewhere on Thunder Mountain, 2 monarchs met. One, Lord Baimo, was pale-skinned and sly. The other, Lord Lan Duo, bore blue-white scales, 3 scaled tails, and a regal bearing. "Baimo, you're bold," Lord Lan Duo said disapprovingly. "You're not only plundering marginal small countries, you've even had subordinates seize tribes inside our own Thunder Ancient Country." "How did you discover this?" Baimo grinned. "My men were careful, spread thinly across the chaos states, no big disturbances. Other monarchs didn't notice. You did. Acting against marginal countries is one thing, but why against our own interior?" Landuo frowned. Baimo shrugged. "The whole origin continent will be destroyed someday. Most beings in the Thunder Ancient Country will die. If that's the end, what does capturing some wilderness tribes matter? The Galaxy God Country has taken so much territory, our opportunities for plunder grow fewer. I figured better to act within our own borders. As long as it's quiet, no one notices." Landuo narrowed his eyes. "You could have invited me to join." Baimo laughed. "Keep it subtle." Landuo nodded. "Don't target major cities. For the wilderness tribes, we'll split the chaos states, each take half, and the total number plundered must not exceed 1/10 of the wilderness areas." "You're ruthless," Baimo said, amused. "What I took is far less than 1/10. For a long time, the 2 monarchs' plundering was careful enough to avoid notice. Conflict and war were already common across the origin continent. A bit of discreet raiding drew little attention. But as time stretched on, the impact accumulated. Entire tribes disappeared. Survivors, relatives, and those who had moved to the big cities began investigating. The scope of the inquiries widened until even royal god kings were drawn in. In the capital of the Galaxy God Country, Guishu Emperor raged as he read intelligence. "How bold!" he exclaimed, slamming the report down. He turned to Wu Xin, God King, beside him. Wu Xin, are you sure this intelligence is accurate? You know my stealth, Wu Xin said with a confident smile. The Thunder Ancient country was uneasy. Royal God Kings began investigating, then suddenly stopped. That told me something was amiss. I poked further and traced the eternal true gods responsible back to Lord Bai Mo and Lord Lan Duo. Their subordinates have been plundering not only the Thunder Ancient country, but marginal small countries as well, for about 70 epochs. 70 epochs? Gishu's face went red. This scale of long-term plunder utterly disregards my authority. I'll report to the Lord immediately. He rose and left the hall. Wu Xin watched him go, anger simmering too, but he knew better than to provoke the monarchs of the Thunder Ancient country directly. He could only wait to see how the Galaxy Lord would respond. Guishu found Morosa in the palace and delivered the news. Morosa was shocked and furious. Lord Baimo and Lord Landuo dare to act with such contempt for my authority? Without delay, Morosa sent a spiritual message to Luo Feng, also adding a note of thanks to two new alliance leaders who had provided tips, Luo Yaoer and Xiao Mung Kong Kong. Chapter 260, Volume 6, Luo Feng and Thunder Ancestor. In the quiet chamber of the City Lord's mansion in Huyang City, inside the Star Tower's space, Luo Feng sat cultivating. Since he had obtained the Eye of Creation and Destruction, the world he perceived had changed. He had reorganized his knowledge system and was perfecting his secret techniques. Master, Morosa transmitted into his mind. Luo Feng opened his eyes slowly and paused his cultivation. Morosa, what is it? Morosa would not disturb him unless it was important. Master, Lords Bai Mo and Lan Duo of the Thunder Ancient country have secretly sent forces to plunder some peripheral nations and even parts of the Thunder Ancient country itself for 70 eras, Morosa reported. The cumulative number of living beings taken is enormous. Luo Feng frowned. When he had acted before, his main target had been the top 10 great sinners on the Origin continent. He could not reach the hidden god kings, emperors, and the lords of the two great ancient kingdoms who sheltered in their capitals or on Thunder Mountain, so he deliberately lured out Emperor Yuan and killed him to make an example. One Emperor Yuan was meant to deter the continent. It's been over 370 eras since I founded the Galaxy God country, and I haven't intervened again, Luo Feng murmured. So long as they don't commit great sins, I let things pass. I was being too lenient. That leniency had been an unspoken understanding between the Galaxy God country and the two great ancient kingdoms. Luo Feng couldn't openly confront Yan Feng or the Thunder Ancestor. In many matters, he had to compromise. Master, your temper is too soft. If you asked me, you should patrol the Origin continent regularly and execute anyone committing great sins, Morosa urged. You are busy with cultivation. Leave the patrolling to me. Find a great sinner. Kill one. Kill often. Kill until they are terrified. Then no emperor or lord would dare to take chances. What you say makes sense, Luo Feng replied. How did you discover this? Guishu Emperor reported it. I'll send you the detailed intelligence now. Morosa transmitted the full report immediately. Luo Feng reviewed the intelligence. It was painstakingly detailed, far too meticulous for Guishu Emperor's usual style. He opened his Eye of Creation and Destruction and glanced toward the capital of the Galaxy God country. With a single look, he saw Gishu Emperor and also God King Wu Xin in the latter's cave mansion. God King Wu Xin was cautious and good at concealment. He had the means to uncover such precise information. Luo Feng would not, however, take any report at face value. He would verify. The intelligence listed names of key subordinates under Lords Bai Mo and Lan Duo. As Luo Feng read, causality lines formed in his eye. With the eye's help, he locked onto each target. His eye's targeting was far keener than that of an ordinary God King at the ultimate realm. Old Star God King, he murmured, locking onto a God King First Realm. Old Star God King was one of Lord Lan Duo's principal agents responsible for the plundering. I knew I shouldn't have plundered inside the Thunder Ancient country, Old Star God King fretted in his cave mansion. But the Lord forced me to act. After plundering for 70 eras, the total is too great. Many royal god kings have already traced this. The royal family can't do anything to the two lords, but I'm in trouble. Suddenly, a terrifying spiritual pressure descended and blanketed Old Star God King. He felt dazed, his consciousness go hazy, utterly unable to resist. Where Luo Feng's eye looked, his spiritual will could reach. As Luo Feng's grasp of the Great Tao deepened, his spiritual will had strengthened. Having risen well past the God Emperor threshold, his spiritual will now approached the upper limit of the origin continent. It could still improve slowly, but on the origin continent, it could no longer increase significantly. Li Yuan art, Luo Feng thought. His techniques were not only for killing, they could suppress and confuse. Normally he used lethal methods, but now, under the shroud of Luo Feng's spiritual will, Old Star God King's mind went hazy and defenseless. With the enemy's consciousness clouded and unable to resist, Luo Feng examined his memories. Normally, even with the eye of creation and destruction, Luo Feng could only see a person's clearest thoughts. With their defenses blurred, though, he could peruse memories directly, an ability of high-level origin lives. Old Star God King had indeed been dispatched by Lord Lan Duo. As Luo Feng sifted through the memories, his killing intent flared. Old Star God King was Lan Duo's most loyal aide, thoroughly responsible for the looting. The raids in peripheral countries were relatively small. The real scale was in the wilderness regions of the Thunder Ancient Country. Lan Duo and Bai Mo had divided those regions between them. Over 70 eras, the cumulative number of plundered beings amounted to roughly 1/20th of all the living beings in those wilderness areas. 1/20th. Luo Feng was stunned. The Thunder Ancient Country, a single ancient country, was as vast as several first-rate nations. As the continent's core and most prosperous region, its population in the wilderness far exceeded that of peripheral nations. In the Thunder Ancient Country, over 90% of living beings lived in the wilderness. Only a minority entered the cities. To have 1/20th of the wilderness population plundered over 70 eras, that number was colossal. Old Star God King's memories even contained detailed records of the shipments. Each batch was on the order of trillions of living beings. Delivered again and again for 70 eras, the total made Luo Feng's blood run cold. Compared with Lord Lan Duo, the raids by Heavenly Kun Country's lord were insignificant. When a lord goes mad, it is terrifying, Luo Feng murmured. He recalled the greatest sinner of the origin continent, Tie Xiao Devil Lord, who had Emperor Yuan behind him. Emperor Yuan himself had likely plundered the most living beings on the continent. Even when Di Chu and others fought to rescue him, Luo Feng did not hesitate to kill Emperor Yuan. The so-called second-ranked sinner, Black Vulture Old Ancestor, had the backing of several lords of the Thunder Ancient Country. Lan Duo might have been among them. A dog can't change its nature, Luo Feng thought. The lords of the Thunder Ancient Country, who used to devour living beings without Black Vulture's help, had turned on their own country. Luo Feng's eye turned toward Thunder Mountain. Thunder Mountain was towering, massive, unassailable, a #1 sacred land on the origin continent. Even the Thunder Ancestor had an avatar dwelling there. Lords like Lan Duo and Bai Mo also resided on it. Using his eye, Luo Feng probed Thunder Mountain's mysteries, gauging its strengths and weaknesses. Although the mountain was formidable, with his current strength, the resources of the Star Tower, and the Eye of Creation and Destruction, he believed he could breach many of its defenses. He peered into a hidden space on Thunder Mountain and saw a terrifying figure, the Thunder Ancestor's true body. What a fearsome physique, far stronger than Yan Feng's, Luo Feng observed. The eye let him perceive the opponent's capabilities, a body that, outside of the origin continent's suppressive rules, could probably shatter Emperor Yuan's secret treasures with a single hand. Even though he could see its weaknesses, the Thunder Ancestor simply sat within the mountain, letting Luo Feng's gaze fall upon him. Under the origin continent's limitations, Luo Feng could not harm him at all. If the lords controlled Thunder Mountain, it might be possible to break in, but if the Thunder Ancestor himself acted, there was no hope. By the same logic, if he wanted to protect Huyang City or the galaxy capital, the two nations' forefathers could do the same. On the origin continent, Luo Feng, the East Extremity Domain Ancestor, Di Qing, and the two nations' forefathers were all constrained from harming one another. No matter who had the advantage, they could not inflict true damage. Compromise was the only option. Luo Feng had killed Emperor Yuan. Yan Feng had not confronted him. The royal god kings had committed many sins before, and Luo Feng had tolerated much. Both sides had an unspoken truce. That truce had now been broken by Lan Duo and Bai Mo. Those two must die, Luo Feng decided. The scenes in Old Star God King's memories, the shipments, the plundered lives, spurred his killing intent to white heat. Such scum could not be left alive. On Thunder Mountain, in a hidden chamber, the Thunder Ancestor was studying a golden finger bone with great concentration when a voice suddenly sounded in his ear. Thunder Ancestor. The Thunder Ancestor flinched. His expression changed drastically. Impossible, he murmured. Thunder Mountain was a god-emperor-level cave mansion secret treasure he had personally refined. He had opened hidden spaces and laid formations himself. Even Yan Feng had to use a communication treasure to contact him. Thunder Ancestor, I am Galaxy, Luo Feng's voice rang inside the space. Thunder Ancestor's eyes flashed with faint lightning. Previously, he had not taken the Galaxy Lord very seriously, perhaps a junior who had just stepped into the God-Emperor ranks. But now he dared not be careless. To break through the mountain's manifold cave mansion obstacles, the spatial barriers, and draconian formations and still transmit sound directly into his ear was terrifying. It seems I underestimated the Galaxy Lord, Thunder Ancestor said. Thunder Ancestor, do you know that Lords Bai Mo and Lan Duo have been plundering living beings within the Thunder Ancient Country for 70 eras? The total number taken has already surpassed hundreds of millions, Luo Feng said. The Thunder Ancestor was stunned. Hundreds of millions, an immense toll even for the Thunder Ancient Country. After I killed Emperor Yuan, I didn't act again, Luo Feng continued. As long as cultivators of the Origin Continent refrain from great sins, I let past matters lie. But Bai Mo and Lan Duo have completely disregarded that restraint. You are lords of the Thunder Ancient Country, so how to handle them is, of course, up to the Ancestor, Luo Feng added. I will investigate and confirm this matter. I will look into it, Thunder Ancestor replied, then offered a small, approving smile. Galaxy Lord, your strength is unfathomable. After this matter is resolved, you, Yan Feng, and I should meet. Agreed, Luo Feng answered. Then he closed his eye of creation and destruction and ceased probing Thunder Mountain.